Welcome back. Today we have another Sarah Paulsen letter. I know I said I was going to put these on pause and work on my other stuff that I still have in the works but just need to tidy up and finish and finally push out there. But things got busy. I've been at a conference this past week and I want to leave you all with something before we head into the holidays and before her next sentencing. And trust me, this letter, it will keep you sustained for a minute. Like, I don't know. I don't know why I'm still surprised. Every time I think she can't outdo herself with her letters, they just keep getting worse. And just so we know, not everyone may know this, these letters are from her divorce court case, which happened before the trial. So these letters are from 2022, 2023. So this is all before her trial. And in this case, Brian is trying to have alimony either eliminated or heavily reduced so he could stop paying his broke-ass ex-wife money she didn't earn or deserves.
Hide the money, y'all. There's poor people around. With your broke ass.
And of course, she can't handle that. Why? Because she hasn't done anything for herself ever. So her way of fighting back is trying to get him in trouble by tattletaling on the dean. Sorry, Judge Dean, by tattletelling to the judge, Judge Dean. But due to her criminal trial, Judge Dean put a pause on this civil divorce court, family court case until the end of the criminal trial. She has now been convicted.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of murder in the second degree.
Once she has been sentenced this upcoming Monday, then afterwards this case will restart and we will finally get a decision on whether she gets to keep her alimony or if Brian is finally free from the parasite known as Sarah Catherine Paulsen.
He's escaping! The killer is escaping! Help me!
The artist formerly known as Miss Boone Esquire, and gets to move on with his son and they can start their own happy individual lives from this woman. That's what I'm going to say. I'm not, that's it. From this woman. This is how she was still acting before her trial. So this isn't her words after her trial. We don't know what she thinks yet after her trial. I'm sure she has plenty of opinions that she will let known when the time is right. But for now, we're just going through her old prior letters just to get more of a sense of who she is and how she actually behaves. And Linda is also very excited for you all to see this one because yikes. What I do like about this letter is the son finally says how he feels. He is heard and she can't take it. She can't take it whatsoever. But we're going to do the same format as last time. I'm going to read the letter all the way through. Then we're going to do the line by line breakdown. Disclaimer, these are all my opinions. You take what you take, you leave what you leave. But if you leave a like on your way out. That's just good home training. I express no authority on this channel. I do call her Sarah Catherine Paulsen because that is her birth name. She does not deserve the Boone name. And in this letter, she'll even agree that she's not part of the Boones. So by her own conception, I will abide by her belief that she is not a part of that family, and I won't refer to her as a part of that family. So Miss Sarah Catherine Paulsen has some more words she wants Judge Michael Dean to hear. The fact that she has two Judge Michaels, I feel bad for them. I wonder if they talk. But yeah, I know some people don't like my Sarah Catherine Paulsen meme. I can't give it up. It's just who I am. When I cover new cases, you know, it'll be done. And then you'll miss it, you know? You don't like it now. You say, oh no, this is too much. But then when it's gone, you're gonna miss it. So, and honestly, if it off-puts you a little bit, that's the point. She is a American horror. And if you don't know, I get this in the comments. This is Sarah Catherine Paulsen, the actress from American Horror Story Asylum. I know it's really weird. They both have the same name, but they're both alternate spellings, and they're both from Florida. It's creepy. They're a foil of each other. Pay attention, folks. This is where you could end up. You can either be a successful actress who is absolutely dominating every single role that they touch, or you can be desperate drinking from someone else's water spigot at a crime scene from a murder that you caused. The choice is yours. I also refer to George as Jorge Torres, like I've said before, because that was his preference.
You go by Junior, you go by George?
George.
Is it George or is it Jorge?
Jorge.
Jorge. All right.
George.
Hey, man, I'll call you by your name. Well, you want George? Okay, I'll call you George.
So I'm showing respect to George and disrespect to Sarah. And with all that said, let's get into it. 10/16/22. Honorable Judge Michael Dean. We don't owe you anything and are waiting for you to be guilty so we can get out of here and away from you. I don't want to deal with you anymore. I'm going now. Click. Yelling at me so loud, the phone is distorting. So loud, former husband, his father, came in and told him to stop being mean to me before hanging up. Honorable Dean. This is what was told to me by my 11-year-old son when I asked about his best friend and how she was doing since I hadn't mentioned her in a while. He told me she started acting strange after he told her he was moving and wouldn't see her anymore. She's upset with him. The conversation continued with me asking why he's telling his friend this, as nothing is set in stone and will be discussed when the time comes. Oh, we're leaving, and it doesn't matter what you say. We have an attorney. Eventually, it turned into the aforementioned statement, and I was laughed at, disrespected, shut down, and hung up on by my son over asking about his friend. You see, this is where I turn and ask, how is this okay, Your Honor? This is exactly how former husband treats me and has unfortunately successfully passed this disgusting trait to our son. Nonetheless, how dare both of them disregard me the way they are making me feel like I am nothing, no one, worthless and a joke. I am sick of being laughed at. I took it day to talk about with former husband, calmly and rationally. I asked him why our son spoke to me the way he did, and where he is getting the idea that you all are definitely leaving, moving. He's losing good friends over it. Well, that's the plan, and I figured you should start getting used to it. 50 miles can be overruled. It means nothing. Laughing. That's why I have an attorney. You don't. We're just waiting for you to be sentenced. The judge knows everything, and there's not much you can do or say about any of it. You'll see. We're leaving no matter what, regardless of the outcome. What's the point of me fighting for my life with my son when I'm treated the way I am by both of them? This is a form of mental and emotional abuse. Former husband encourages and enables it. I'm yelled at for everything. I'm afraid to call for fear I will be obliterated and brought to a new level of low, or try to see how hard I can be made to cry, then laughed at. I'm damned if I do and damned if I don't. If I do continue in my fight, which I will and am, I'm disrespected and almost destroyed. If I don't, then I look like the uncaring, heartless, incompetent mother person former husband is hell-bent on making me out to be. I just started speaking to my son from being screamed at with cruel lies and horrible, mean things that I will not repeat over nothing. I didn't call for 3 weeks because of the shock and pure hurt I am still in for what was said. I am made to feel like a chore, burden, and pest. I am not welcomed, like life is better without me. Everything is one-sided. My son never met my parents, grandparents, aunt, or uncles, deceased. never knew my family. He only knows the Boones who viciously slander me, his mother, behind my back, have perpetually made me the dumb black sheep and continuously plot my demise together. They've poisoned my son and pitted him against me since day one, when I was just 9 days into my incarceration. Former husband took it upon himself to make the egregious decision to tell him I would be gone and he wouldn't see me for 25 years or longer of his little life. My son cannot be my son and is tortured by the confusion in whether he can be close to me, like we've always been, or even be nice to me. I feel to be alone. I don't know. Our son is just an innocent pawn in former husband's scheme to seek his sad, bitter, unrelenting revenge against me. His house is broken plastic and covered in fool's gold. He is not the angel he appears to be. He is an insensitive, callous tyrant and fully endorsed by his family. No one listens to me. I have made the active decision to not call for an undetermined length of time so I can take a break from the beratement. I can only take the terrors inflicted by former husband in doses. Right now, I've gotten my fill from both of them. If my son wants to speak to me, he can write or schedule a visit, which I doubt will happen from the lack of encouragement and inclusion of me to have a relationship with our son by former husband. Please understand, I can only take so much on top of everything else. I love my son. I need my son. Just not this virgin. Not right now. What can I do? What can you do, please? This is not right. Every time I try to speak to former husband about anything, ends up ugly and unsuccessful. He has taken it upon himself to self-diagnose my case from watching YouTube, his reliable source, and of course, Court TV, telling me my trial is less than 3 weeks away, assumes I fire all of my attorneys. Remember, I am on number 6, but not by choice, and constantly tells me how wrong I am doing everything. He keeps asking me why I keep delaying everything. He gives assumed case details about witnesses, occurrences, etc. over the phone, telling me about my case. He is assuming everything. He thinks he knows everything about my case. This is wrong. I'm being penalized even more for wrong, empty accusations and information. This only multiplies his anger and spitefulness is to do everything I can to keep him here. Ludicrous. This is why I felt the need, Judge Dean, to hesitantly include you in the ongoing struggles I'm having with former husband and his incompetence regarding my life and case. It's never ending and only gets worse. I would also like it to be known I have not gotten any of my orders for a hygiene kit, deodorant that works, toothpaste, and a washcloth, or for a measly coffee package that I began asking for in July and after you approved on September 13th during our meeting. My ability to start receiving alimony again after former husband immensely diminished and tried to stop. It's the middle of October. There's always an excuse. The most recent, and for the last 3 months, is that his debit credit card won't work because it's a jail and people steal. He's had to use our son's allowance card just to finally get me a hot meal I mentioned to you, which ended up coming on my birthday, 10/10, in case you forgot. The million times I fucking said it. Only because I told him about this letter I'm writing. I'm still waiting on the other orders so I can be alert and presentable when my attorney does finally show up, who still has not since the last time I spoke to you. Please know also, my bank account, which I've had for 30 years, has closed due to former husband's failure to pay alimony as instructed by our dissolution of marriage agreement, then also by you. I cannot deposit any checks. One I have been waiting on for him to mail me since February and could use towards commissary when he wasn't giving anything. All of my subscriptions are not being renewed. Anything with autopay cannot be approved. I can't even deposit the alimony former husband is supposed to be paying. I've had this account for 30 years. He assumed his plan would work in not having to pay, so he withheld, causing this to happen. I have no bank account, Your Honor, and for all the difficulties supposedly encountering with his debit credit card could have been avoided would he have been paying and abiding by the rules. My bank account would be open still. He could have used my debit credit card and I would already have the necessities I'm needing. Former husband is his own troublemaker. He makes his life more difficult from all of his assumptions and defiant attitude. Even if I wasn't incarcerated, I'd be getting the same problems from him. He keeps tripping over his power trips and taking out on me. Where are my orders? How can I get my bank account reopened? He gets no relief from his own doing. Everything was okay before he tried implementing all his agreements and started a second job soothsaying. The constant assaultive, degrading remarks, fear, infliction, and terrorizing threats must stop. It makes no difference how soft my approach is in trying to explain to former husband how unnecessary and harmful his actions and comments are, and being the example he is to our son, giving permission he can do the same, especially to me, his mother, and also to other women futuristically. Just stop, please. Former husband tries to taunt me every opportunity he can to get a reaction from me, knowing he's got the upper hand in almost everything and can either laugh at me or hang up, or both. As said before, I am not helpless. I have God and your awareness of my situations, Judge Dean, to hopefully impose your authority in all manner available to provide any permissible relief for everyone. Something needs to be done sooner than later, considering my trial has an unknown date. I refuse to continue cooperating with former husband and any of his terms and the way they are being handled. Look at the bigger picture. In conclusion, the most painful, horrific remark made to me by former husband so far during my attempted call to talk about our son's upcoming birthday, 10/28, with the conversation always turning into the told me, when you're finally put away, this move will be the best thing to happen to us. Him, son, we can't wait to get out of Orlando and away from you. Laughing. Also, where we're moving is very close to the prison. It's going to be very easy and convenient for us. Thank you for your time and assistance. Most of all, your understanding. I waited as long as I could in everything to involve you, but I don't know what to do or how much more abuse I could endure. I felt you should be included on what's happening behind the scenes when former husband and his attorney aren't sitting in front of you in the courtroom or you're reading one of their many scheming documents, plotting what he can do to me next. You and God. Thank you either way and always. Sincerely, Sarah Boone, Sarah Boone. Y'all, and this is just over some alimony. It is this elevated, this much torture, abuse, so amped up. And yeah, I just have this body cam footage just so we can see the contrast in her behavior because that's just how it is. It is all over the place all the time. This letter was another mess. And she outwardly proved and just stated out in the open that she uses these letters as a threat to get what she wants. She didn't want to have to include him, but she did because she wasn't getting what she wants. So she has to tell you so that you will force someone else to do what she wants, which is what she's been doing this entire time, using administrative, legal, authoritative positions in order to force people to do what she wants them to do. And she's shameless about it. And we'll go more in depth during the breakdown, but it's just wild to me how does she think the judge is going to respond to this? When you are basically telling the judge, the world, and Brian, because Brian gets a copy of this sent to him as well, I didn't want to have to do it. He made me have to do it. And now I'm trying to make you have to do it, whatever it is. So this is her new version of calling the police. She can't call the police because she's in jail. She would just be calling on herself. The guards would knock on the window and say, "Hey girl, long time no chat. If you just wanted a pat down, you could have asked." Obviously, that's not how that works, but this is her equivalent. 90% of these details are just irrelevant and no judge needs to hear about them. And first of all, just on top of this, she's not asking for anything, like at all. From a legal position, she's not asking for anything. She is saying, Your Honor, use your judicial authority to do something to force him to stop his abuse. I don't have any actual proof of the abuse, but I'm telling you it's there. So you have to listen to me and you have to do what I say. But I'm not telling you to do anything from a legal capacity. Like literally, what is he supposed to respond? Okay, Miss Sarah, so here are your options. Suck it up and leave me the F alone. No, like, does she expect him to say, okay, I can punish him in this many ways. Which one would you like? I could just sanction him and have him pay more money, or I could just give him the chair.
Electric chair.
Whichever one you would prefer, because I'm here to make your life better. You, inmate number 205623, I'm here to make you feel better. No, none of this makes any sense. You have to live in some realm of delusion, which she obviously has remained in. I'm not saying she has any kind of brain damage whatsoever. I think these kind of things were just ingrained in her long before she had an alcohol abuse issue. But wherever she is not a realm where logic and reason exist as natural forces of the world, but rather whoever complains the loudest wins. But okay, that's enough for now. Now we're going to transition into the line-by-line breakdown.
I got a life too! I gave 18 years of my life to stand in the same spot as you! Don't you think I ever wanted other things? Don't you think I had dreams and hopes? What about my life? What about me?
10/16/22. Honorable Judge Michael Dean. We don't owe you anything and are waiting for you to be guilty so we can get out of here and away from you.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of murder in the second degree.
I don't want to deal with you anymore. I'm going now. Click. Yelling at me so loud, the phone is distorting. So loud, former husband, his father, came in and told him to stop being mean to me before hanging up. I know that's right. Boy, you ate her up.
Bon appetit!
And that's just what she's telling us, you said. Baby, he is done. He says, I have had it with you. We don't owe you anything. We are waiting for you to be found guilty so I can leave you. Stop calling my phone. No, I'm not going to tell on my daddy no more. Stop buzzing and begging. Okay? No, I don't have money. You want my allowance? No. But no, this was great. I am proud of him for being able to stick up for himself and to realize where to draw the lines. Now, you should always be respectful to your parents when you can. However, the respect goes both ways, and it can be lost based off of people's actions. If she took care of him like Brian took care of him, meaning she was there all the time, she made sure that he was covered, and was just an involved and positive influence on his life, okay, you should treat her with more respect. But since she has always treated you like a toy that I'm happy you're there when I'm happy, and then it's inconvenient when it's not. And now that I'm in jail, I'm going to leech off of you, talk to you more than I ever did when I was your mother and had free access to you. And since your dad won't give me what I want, I'm going to hound you and make you go tell him so that he has to look at your sad little face and said, Mom needs this. Dad, please get this for Mom. And I know that's the goal that she's going for, and she's mad that it's not working to the point where you are driving him insane. See, all the other men in your life have had to deal with it because they were with you by choice. Your son is not with you by choice. You gave birth to him. Congratulations. I hope he has a great life. But that's it. He is bound to you, not by choice. So as he grows up, he has the right to have that choice, whether he wants to be in your life or not, whether he wants your influence, negative influence in his life or not. And he is making it clear, we don't owe you anything. Why would your son say that? Why would he say we don't owe you anything unless the conversation revolved around you saying they owed you something or asking for something ad nauseum, which we know she has done? And by this letter, she admits that she is asked infinitum and is shocked when they have reached their limit. And now she's the victim because her family, former family, won't let her berate them constantly and drain them of more and more funds that could be going to raising your son. Kids are expensive AF. We can't even pretend that $1,000 could not be make or break it in the life of a child when it comes to giving them what they need. And I have empathy to her plight because there are things that you quote unquote need that, it would be easier for you if you had commissary. But it's not necessarily a need, it is a want. Your bare minimum needs are taken care of. If you want more, how about you ask nicely? How about you try to foster a loving and supportive relationship to where they want to support you? Not say I'm entitled and demand these things to where they feel like they have to say, we don't owe you anything because you have provided nothing. And now that you killed a male figure in his life, someone brought this up in the comments, which was good because I mentioned he was in his life for at least 3.5 years in some iteration or capacity, meaning he would have been around 6 to 9 during that time. Those are extremely formative years. We actually know from research when it comes to like DID, dissociative identity disorder, that your personality really forms around the ages of 6 to 9. And that's when you are becoming who you are, more or less. And just a little side tangent on that because it is something that means a lot to me as well. Dissociative identity disorder, formerly known as multiple personality disorder, gets a bad rep because it is very much misunderstood. It is a survival mechanism that the brain goes through in order to rationalize the trauma that they've been through. And if you ever meet someone with DID, do not ask them about their childhood. DID is not something you can just magically contract later in life. It is a biological, mental, amnesic response to extreme childhood trauma to the point where their brain at that function, at that development, cannot conceptualize the trauma that they are facing. So their mind mentally fractures off those memories, puts amnesia barriers between those horrible memories and trying to function through life. These barriers get split into what are called alters, alternate personalities that all live in the same body. And while there's such a stigma in society about it, they truly, people with DID truly have my sympathy more than most, honestly. I think it is incredible how the body can keep itself alive and try everything it can to protect you, even from the memories that you hold within. And that's why there's no such things as bad alters. Different alters have different personalities based off of their own functionality. Some alters are created to hold horrific memories, and that formulates their personality of having to deal with that knowledge that their job is to keep away from whoever is the host at that moment, or primary host, whoever identifies with the body at that moment in time. Okay, side tangent over. All of that is to say that those years are extremely formative. And you killed a man who was in his life during those crucial formative developmental stage. So yeah, he's going to have some feelings about you as a person. And I'm sure he's tried to be nice to you about it. You say that we're going to break down further. You say the husband is so mean and so that, but now you're telling us the husband is coming in to tell the son, who you then are going to say that he is poisoning to go against you, that he is telling him not to be mean to you or to stop being mean to you. And then after he hangs up, you're just sitting there and your hurt feelings. Meanwhile, Brian now has to decompress with his son and try to work through whatever he's feeling, which no child should have to deal with, that weight of their incarcerated parent who is trying to tether themselves to them in order to force actions they want taken. Because that's what it is. If it was just she wanted to spend time with her son and just wanted to hear what he wanted to hear and just wanted to be involved in his life in any kind of way, she still could have kept hope for her case. She still could have tried to push through or what have you without ever including her son. Ever. He is not necessary to either of these cases. He is not necessary to your criminal case. He is not necessary to your civil case, because you're not asking for family rights in this case. This is all about alimony. You don't want him to move away. That is the only thing that kind of concerns him. But to our knowledge, you haven't put in a motion to keep him here. You just say that he shouldn't be allowed to move while Brian is in the process of being allowed to move away from you. But you haven't officially asked for that. The only thing you've asked for is money for you. So bravo to the son for sticking up for himself, and I hope you hold on to the power that you took back from her when you said these words. And I hope you don't accept that kind of abuse or manipulation from anyone else in your life. And I hope you're happy. Moving on. Honorable Dean, this is what was told to me by my 11-year-old son when I asked about his best friend and how she was doing since I hadn't mentioned her in a while. He told me she started acting strange after he told her he was moving and wouldn't see her anymore. She's upset with him. The conversation continued with me asking why he's telling his friend this, as nothing is set in stone and will be discussed when the time comes. All right, already starting from the top, opening with the son yet again. She says that Brian is using him as a pawn. She will not stop talking about him whatsoever. I'm pretty sure almost every single letter that we've read from her regarding this family court case, she has started with her son as the opener, and then that transitions into her actual wants and demands. But here we go again, starting with the son's literal words, and then you have to make sure that you tell the judge he's an 11-year-old, as though you haven't told him that at least 5,000 times in the prior letters. But she also uses his age as a pawn as well. I don't think I've ever seen a parent refer to their child by ages as much as I've seen her do it. Her 7-year-old, her 8-year-old, her 9-year-old, her 11-year-old. I haven't seen really 10-year-old stuff, but I'm sure they're there as well. Her 12-year-old. She uses that age to try to boast it up more. Like, it's not just my child, it's my very young child, my precious young child who needs his mother. How could he possibly say these things to me? While completely overlooking any actions that she has done herself. It's wild to me. But even still, this doesn't quite track for me. How did talking to your son about his best friend lead to him saying, "We don't owe you anything," and are waiting for you to be found guilty?
Find the defendant guilty of murder in the second degree.
It seems like a bit of an escalation to me. It seems like she's leaving out a lot of things that she said in between those things. And I doubt she just casually told him, "Why are you telling your best friend this when nothing is set in stone?" I bet it was more argumentative and trying to make him agree with her sentiment so that everyone is on the same page moving forward, if I would use her kind of rationale and logic. And that went into this back and forth between, "No, we are going to leave. No, you're not. Yes, we are. No, you're not. Yes, we are. You owe it to me. We don't owe you anything." When someone is always involved in explosive arguments consistently, neighbors, spouses, ex-husbands, children's lawyers, free lawyers, desperation free lawyers, prison guards, and a mirror. There might be something in common with the person who always escalates it to a yelling situation. And the fact that he said, so we can get away from you, it wasn't just we're leaving because we have a lawyer, it is to get away from you. I don't think he would have escalated that quickly over just a simple, oh, how's your best friend doing? It may have started that way, and then that divulged into this and that and this and that. And I've seen this kind of argument before where when you can't talk to the person directly that you want to talk with, that you're having the main issue with, you'll have an intermediary who is, that in between. But then you'll argue with that in between as if they were the main person you're arguing with. It does not matter if that in between person agrees with you or adopts your position, because that is not the person that you need to be having this discussion with. As soon as he said those things, you could have said, nothing set in stone, but we'll see what happens, and left it there. No way in the world that she left it there and it escalated to this. You should have left it there and then taken it up with Brian afterwards. Go blow up on him. Say, why are you telling him to do this? Which you do anyway, but you have to make sure that you give them both heat. And I don't get what she means by everything will be discussed when the time comes. The time has come already. They have told you that. We are leaving. What else is there to be discussed? You have no chips. You have nothing to barter with to keep them there. You have no good reasoning to keep them there. Your logic is, when I get out of jail for my second-degree murder charge, he will be too far from me, and that's why he must stay now. Versus Brian's argument of, because of my murdering ex-baby mama, we have received harassment, we have received undue visibility that we do not want, nor ever asked for, nor deserved. It is putting a lot of stress and tension on everyone involved, and we need to get out of here so that we can try to have a fresh start, or at least a start as far away from the center of this hurricane influence of Sarah's buffoonery. Boonfoonery. Never going to say that again, but distance would help way more than staying where they currently are. And she has no empathy towards that. She doesn't care that they're struggling, that they have to deal with things because of her actions and her inability to accept responsibility for anything. If she actually just owned up and accepted responsibility, she would have gone to trial, she would have gone to jail. It seems like they were hell-bent on being as lenient as possible with her anyway. So if she wasn't such a fuss, it probably would have been a very light sentence. And who knows, it may still be. I'm still banking on life, but everyone seems to want to give her every opportunity the world has to offer. So who knows? They might give her 23 years. I don't see that happening though. Oh, we're leaving, and it doesn't matter what you say. We have an attorney. Eventually, it turned into the aforementioned statement, and I was laughed at, disrespected, shut down, and hung up on by my son over asking about his friend. See, and that's the wild part to me. She thinks that's what that conversation was because she only pulls away the best looking details for her and completely glosses over any of the issues with that conversation that she caused. I don't know, a fight? How about you didn't just ask about his friend, you asked why he's telling his friend you're moving, and that why is he talking about moving, because that will be discussed when the time comes. The conversation quickly ran away from what the best friend had to think to what he had to think about him moving or not. And that you were going to make sure that he knew he shouldn't be telling anyone that he's about to leave, because no one's going to leave until I discuss it with them. But yeah, only asking about the friend. You see, this is where I turn and ask, how is this okay, Your Honor? This is exactly how former husband treats me and has unfortunately successfully passed this disgusting trait to our son. So now you're calling your son disgusting. You're saying your son has a disgusting trait passed by his father, which happens to be not wanting to talk to you. And him not wanting to talk to you means he has a disgusting trait about him. That is really weird to use disgusting describing anything about your child. I don't hear that often. Maybe their room is disgusting because they don't pick up after themselves, but never, my child has a disgusting trait and it makes me feel bad. I don't know. I don't know why I'm hung up on that so much. It's just weird. Also, what do you mean? This is where I turn and ask, how is this okay, Your Honor? As if Your Honor is supposed to do anything involving your son's behavior. That judge has nothing to do and has no authority to tell this child how to treat his grown-ass mother. Yeah, let's start to use her age as well. What, she's like 47 now? Your 47-year-old mama is now telling on you, her 11-year-old child, about how you are treating her. That is some wild work right there. So maybe don't describe your son as disgusting in a letter, and he might want to talk to you more.
Nonetheless, how dare both of them disregard me the way they are making me feel like I am nothing, no one, worthless, and a joke?
Yeah, that sounds about right. I don't get what she expects other than that, which is mind-blowing to me. It's like she's stating these facts that she's built herself. Like, yeah. In a future letter, Brian straight up tells you, you mean nothing to them.
You're a killer. That's why I'm not doing anything. You're not important to anyone. You are not priority. Dad says you're annoying and beg all the time. Son told me after asking him to ask former husband if he finally ordered a book and hot meal after being made to call daily to check for 13 weeks. I lie to you because I can. Dad does all the time. Son, you make no difference in our lives. Former husband.
Like, you think you would catch on by now. You would take the hint on how they feel. You are worthless to them. You are a joke because you just keep taking and taking and taking, and you have zero self-awareness, so you don't know how bad you actually look, how pathetic you actually look. And I know it seems like some people are like, you are very impassioned about this or have a lot of feelings. Yeah, because she's a vicious murderer who has not had to take any responsibility for anything. Right? She has shown no remorse whatsoever for one of the cruelest deaths and killings I've ever seen. And I think we get distracted because she has no care for it whatsoever. The idea that other people care this much is being equated to the idea that you care about a Karen blowing up and just being this, being that. No, I care about a malicious murderer having the audacity to say these things, knowing what she's done, and then crying foul saying, I'm the one who's being punished, all the while overlooking her victim as though he were nothing, as though he were worthless. You kidding me?
I am sick of being laughed at.
Then stop behaving like a clown and we won't take you as a joke. Are you kidding me right now? You know who else would have loved to stop being laughed at? Maybe George, who was locked in the suitcase begging for his life, and you thought it was so fucking hilarious you couldn't stop laughing. But no, they hurt your feelings, and now this is too much. See, because then you can present her with this fact, right? And she will completely negate any negative feeling he might have had, because that wasn't her intention. And if she doesn't feel it, it's not real. But any little perceived slight against her, oh, it's the end of the world. But she can laugh at other people's misery and still say she's innocent of murder. Now, I will never show the actual video on this channel, but I have done it once before where I isolated her vocals just so you hear how she sounds. And so like George's voice is completely cut out because I don't believe he should be immortalized by his last words on those recordings. However, I do believe she needs to be held accountable for her words on that recording. And it's just absurd the way she reacted. And I'm only going to play the laughing parts, but here's a warning. Just skip ahead like 30, 45 seconds starting now.
Fuck you. Stupid. That's on you. It's on you. because I got this.
So for all I care, they can laugh at her to her grave, and it still wouldn't outweigh the humiliation and torture she put that man through. So I don't care if no one likes you. I don't care if no one wants to talk to you on the phone. I don't care if they're laughing at you. I will reward them for laughing at you because you need to feel that shame. You refuse to. You are shameless. No matter what happens, it just kind of deflects off of you. But maybe you need to internalize that. Take the shame around you that you swim in daily and actually take it in so that you can have some comprehension of the magnitude of your actions and your behaviors. And then maybe you will understand why people hold those beliefs. And then maybe you can start to correct those beliefs. But until then, I hope Brian and their son laughs every day of their life. Not necessarily at her, but are just filled with joy and laughter. And also, I bet it isn't actually laughter. It's probably just like a scoff here and there, or like one of those, I can't believe I'm still in this argument kind of laugh. I do a lot of those laughs in my videos, those like, I can't believe we're still doing this. But, you know, it's laughing at her, but that's neither here nor there. I took it day to talk about with former husband calmly and rationally. I asked him why our son spoke to me the way he did and where he is getting the idea that you all are definitely leaving, moving. He's losing good friends over it. Well, that's the plan, and I figured you should start getting used to it. 50 miles can be overruled. It means nothing. Laughing. That's why I have an attorney. You don't. We're just waiting for you to be sentenced.
Guilty of murder in the second degree.
When you have to say, I calmly and rationally discussed this with him, you know you didn't. You know you came all out of pocket, out of left field, because you wouldn't need to say calmly and rationally unless there was a question about that. It's the same thing about, in the past, she said so many times, my legitimate concerns, because she's trying to frame them as my concerns have value because I'm telling you they have value. I was calm and rational because I'm telling you I was calm and rational. Don't go ask Brian, but I'm going to tell you first, which is what she did with George a lot, which is what a lot of abusers who cry wolf first do. Try to inflate it, try to frame it as best as possible. Look, I went into this calmly and rationally, saying, how did our son where did he get the idea that you were definitely moving? You know she was yelling. You know she came in rude and loud as hell, and then deflects to the son because she always has to use him as a pawn. He is losing friends over this. It would be worse for him, not me. I'm telling you that you're doing something bad because he is losing friends. And I feel like by now she has repeated the same theme so many times of her telling them how they are going to live their life, them quote unquote laughing at her and saying, we're going to do what we're going to do anyway. You have no control over us. And then is shocked and is crying to the judge. Can you believe they said I couldn't control where they're going to go? That it doesn't matter whatever I say. It was the same thing in the interrogation when she was like, so what I say, and she was referencing the laptop with the video of her killing her boyfriend. And she says, so there's this. So it makes no difference what I say at all. It makes absolutely no difference. And Chelsea's like, well, you're lying.
Get the time frame out of your mind. This whole thing, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because there's this. So it doesn't matter anything what it is I say. So it makes no difference whatsoever.
It's just you're lying and like you're now changing your story.
Lying about what?
You're now you're drunk.
Oh, I never said that I was drunk.
Exactly, but you did here today.
And the idea there is you were presented with straight up evidence of you murdering Jorge Torres, and you still are telling them it makes no difference what I say because what I did on video is going to trump the lies that I'm telling you now. And the answer is yes, of course. Why are you shocked at this? Similarly, they are quite literally telling you, get used to it. We are doing X. The evidence is presented before you. We are moving. And unless this judge tells us we have to come back, the bags are packed. And we have that, we will wait until things are discussed. Does my word not mean anything at this? Why are they all laughing at me? As though the judge is supposed to say, please don't laugh at her. Please give her what she wants, even though she's behind bars for murder. Which is also wild to me. Yes, the judge knows why you are in jail. Like a full understanding. So why would you think he would go out of his way to break all of these protocols and answer you in a super unprofessional manner, bending over backwards to make sure you are understood, feel good about yourself, and that everyone is treating you nicely with care? If you cared about anyone else but yourself, you probably wouldn't be in jail right now. The judge knows everything, and there's not much you can do or say about any of it. You'll see. We're leaving no matter what, regardless of the outcome. As if there was an actual question on what the outcome would be, she would probably just use that again and again. We don't know. I'm going to get offered this, this, and that. He's like, okay, who cares? Even if your fairy tale land came true, we are leaving regardless. What's the point of me fighting for my life with my son when I'm treated the way I am by both of them? This is a form of mental and emotional abuse. Former husband encourages and enables it. That's the question of the hour. What is the point of you fighting this much? And you had it correct at first. You said fighting for my life, and then you tacked on with my son to make it sound more justifiable and not as self-centered and selfish. But this is not your life with your son. That life's gone. You could have had a life with your son. You chose to leave him at school. You chose to get Brian to come pick him up every 5 seconds. Maybe if you looked after your child the times you were supposed to, maybe alcohol would not have affected you as pervasively as it did. Because others said that you did try to keep it together around your son as best you could. And that's why you had to get rid of him so that you could be as worst as you could. So your life with your son is done. Your son gets to have his life. You get to have your life. He gets to decide whether you are in it or not. And you only got a few more years of those left to where you think you get to make that decision. And Brian's going to protect him as much as he can. Once he's 18, he gets to make his own decisions. No one has to take him to visit you, nor can anyone keep him away. So how about you work on rehabilitating your relationship with your son, showing that you're not self-centered, that you're not selfish, that you can put his needs and thoughts and feelings first, that you can provide care to him, not just him providing care to you, which is always just such a mess when the child has to care for the parent more than the parent cares for the child. And this does not include disabilities or any handicaps in that way, but in terms of emotionally. And the amount of emotional weight she puts on that boy is outrageous. And she says, the way I'm treated by both of them, this is a form of mental and emotional abuse. You would know. You would know everything about mental and emotional abuse because you are a mental and emotional abuser. That is your go-to method of abuse, coupled with the clawing, the scratching, the punching. But the things you say to people are absolutely vicious and cruel. And you see nothing wrong with that. But them trying to set a boundary is them being abusive. You literally are calling your 11-year-old a mental and emotional abuser of you. And you try to justify it by saying former husband is encouraging and enables it, meaning he wouldn't be an abuser without my husband. He is what I say he is. It's not just me being irrational. It's not just them being rationally upset with me calling every 5 seconds, but it's my son who has disgusting traits that his father passed on to him. His father has turned him into an abuser. Wild. I'm yelled at for everything. I'm afraid to call for fear I will be obliterated and brought to a new level of low, or try to see how hard I can be made to cry, then laughed at. I'm damned if I do and damned if I don't. If I do continue in my fight,
which I will and am, I'm disrespected and almost destroyed. If I don't, then I look like the uncaring, heartless, incompetent mother person former husband is hell-bent on making me out to be.
This language has just reached new depths of absurdity. I will be destroyed if I call. I will be obliterated. I'm fearful because I will lose my life basically if I bug my ex-husband and son every single day. Also, I haven't talked about this, but can we side tangent for a second? These calls aren't free. Every single jail call costs money. Money that she's not paying. Money that Brian is paying. Every single minute of her asking and begging again and again and again is wasting his money. And she's saying that she calls them every day. And the fact that they pick up the phone, wild to me. They need to let that go to voicemail, because the way she's talking out of pocket, raise her voice one time with me, click. And the way she would throw a conniption fit if that happened, if they refused to pay for her calls, on top of everything. And maybe just take the hint. If you are afraid and fear you will be obliterated, destroyed, how about you actually murdered someone, right? So you're using this hyperbolic language. You obliterated and destroyed George's future. How about that? You literally did that. Them being upset with you for calling every day for 13 weeks over a hot meal and a book is not the same. And it just shows, again, her allegations and word choice are just so blown out of proportion. I don't like going down the histrionic personality disorder path because there's a lot of misogynistic undertones to that in regards to connecting it with hysteria, but whatever. Honestly, if I were armchair psychologying this, I couldn't diagnose Sarah with anything. She is just a cluster B in general. She has basically all of the traits in some form or another, in some problematic form or another. We all possessed every kind of trait, right? I truly believe that every trait that exists in the world exists inside every person to some level. It's how we know who we are and who we aren't. I know that I can't harm someone in this way because I can envision myself doing that, and I could never do that. And that little envisioning is that little spark of, I could if I were like that, but I'm not like that. So the traits themselves are not the issue, just the way they present themselves and how pervasively and how toxic that presentation is to everyone around them. She has problematic traits all over the cluster B territory. And when looking at histrionic personality disorder, these are these very big, powerful, overblown, over-the-top language and description of experience. And stemming from childhood, those kind of traits show up in children who were more or less neglected and didn't really get the attention that they wanted until a big thing happened. So it's like, oh, if I come to you with my regular issues, you don't say anything. But if I fell in the playground and now my knee is bleeding, everyone rushes over to me as a child. So now I know big things equal attention. So I didn't just run into the wall. I almost died from smacking my head against the concrete. Anything to make it seem as big as possible so that people will care more, because the root of that is this neglect and insecurity inside that no one cares about what I have to say unless I'm saying I'm basically losing my life, which is why she says that about everything. And when you pique everyone's interest, when you turn it up to the 11 every single time, you are literally the wolf who cried wolf. No one can take anything seriously. You say George threatened you. He made you fearful for your life, that he threatened all this, threatened all that. You were afraid this, you were afraid that. Meanwhile, you're using the same horrific, big, overblown language, word choice, applying it to two other victims that you have in your life that are just trying to get away from you. And we can tell, as soon as people try to get away from her, that is when she is her most animated, most violent, which is why I'm more inclined to believe the theory that George had it that night and was threatening to leave. If his suitcase existed all the way in the back and she said he pulled it out, I believe that. I believe he pulled it out. I don't believe anything about them putting her son's clothes in George's suitcase to donate the whole thing because it was a quote bad suitcase or whatever. And of course it's bad. Why? Because it's George's. Obviously George's belongings are bad and we need to get rid of them. She didn't say they bought a new suitcase, so he would have just gotten rid of the only suitcase he has. And not only that, he would bring the suitcase downstairs first before packing the clothes that were upstairs in the room with you. She doesn't really explain why he brought that down and why y'all didn't finish packing it or start packing it whatsoever. You're saying you got tired of doing this, tired of doing that, but I guess he wasn't tired enough to bring the suitcase down earlier in the night and just leave it there. So y'all did the painting, the puzzles, all of this stuff while the suitcase is just in the center of the living room this entire time, according to your version of the events. Or does it make more sense that they were arguing all night like the brothers said they were, starting at 7:30, like the roommate, I think his name was Ben, said when he got back from school around 8, he heard yelling. Vincent, who was already there, heard yelling the I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, and things just escalating and escalating until things got quiet. In my mind, if he pulled that suitcase that existed all the way in the back and started to pack his own bags because he had finally had enough, and she saw that her victim was trying to get away from her, after all she's done for him, of course she picks up that bat and beats the hell out of him. How dare he do that to her, victimizing her by wanting to get away? And we see the same thing here. They are victimizing her by trying to get away. I just started speaking to my son from being screamed at with cruel lies and horrible, mean things that I will not repeat over nothing. I didn't call for 3 weeks because of the shock and pure hurt I am still in for what was said. But you won't tell it. You have quoted your son saying very personal things that you shouldn't be saying that your son was saying. You've quoted Brian as saying things that you should not be quoting him saying. But you won't quote the most horrific, cruel lies and horribly mean things. One, you probably don't want to repeat them because they're true. And two, you should internalize it. You didn't call them for 3 weeks. And by that account, they didn't call you back. Meaning, thank goodness they had a reprieve from you for 3 weeks until your begging ass went knocking on the door again, as though you were punishing them by not speaking to them for 3 weeks. And before she said, I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't. Then how about you don't? You said, I'm damned if I do because I will be destroyed if I call. And I'm damned if I don't because I will look like an uncaring mother. How is it looking like an uncaring mother by listening to your son when he says he wants to put up the boundary of not speaking to you constantly? It makes you look like the selfish parent to ignore that boundary and call him ad nauseum anyway. Brian is not making you out to look like you are an incompetent mother. You are an incompetent mother / person. Your actions have shown that. Show me any actions that have proven the contrary. What have you done to drastically improve your son's life? What sacrifices have you made for him? Or has he been the one who has sacrificed everything in his quote little life just to make yours more comfortable? I am made to feel like a chore, burden, and pest. I am not welcomed. Like life is better without me. Ding, ding, ding. So you do have self-awareness. So you are aware of how you're making people feel. You are a chore. Why? Because you call relentlessly every day. I will never get over every day for 13 weeks calling over a hot meal in a book that you didn't earn, nor will you pay for. And the entitlement to alimony you think is just your salary that you've earned for some reason. You have your hot meals. You may refuse them and you may not like them, but they're there. But you burden them and you pester them every 5 seconds so that you can get what you want, not what you need. You are not welcome. They've made that very clear. Why would they welcome a murderer into their home like nothing changed? You believe they shouldn't treat you any differently just because you killed one person that you completely devalue doesn't mean the rest of the world does. Doesn't mean they have to like you. And she says, like life would be better without me, as though that's unfathomable to believe, as though that's incorrect, as though that is unconscionable for someone to say. It's not great to hear, but try being a better person and you won't be such a burden. Everything is one-sided. My son never met my parents, grandparents, aunt or uncles, deceased. Never knew my family. He only knows the Boones, who viciously slander me, his mother, behind my back, have perpetually made me the dumb black sheep and continuously plot my demise together. So we see right here, she is making a clear delineation and separation between her and the Boones. The Boones are against her, so you don't get that last name. Get rid of it if they're all plotting your demise, or else you're holding on to it to spite them, which wouldn't surprise me anyway. And that's why you will always be Sarah Catherine Paulsen to me.
He's escaping! The killer is escaping! Help me!
But this is just another irrelevant tangent that means nothing to a judge. Who cares if your son has never met your family? That has nothing to do with the judge. He can't bring your family back to life and make your son meet them. I know that sounds rough and cruel, but it's like, why are we talking about this? Everything is so one-sided, as though if your son did meet your parents and your family, this would be different. I mean, the real reason she just wants to bring up that her family is deceased, she does that all the time to elicit sympathy and to justify why she is being so relentless to both of them. It's because she doesn't have a family and the family they have are plotting against her. It's not like she just killed someone and they don't want their grandchild or family member away from her and her murderous influence. There's no proof that she's still not violent, like zero. We know she still gets into verbal fights, and I imagine if she could actually fight a girl, because she will fight a guy in a heartbeat, because she knows that there are social contracts that she can rely on, that if he fights back, she can scream bloody murder, call the police, use anything she can to put that barrier and try to put that man in check. But with a woman, and it's fist to fist, hand to hand, you can't run away, I bet she's not as violent around them. But seeing how your son is also a male, I wouldn't put it past you to strike him if he talked back too much either. So of course they're going to be protective of him, and I'm glad they are. I hope they are. I hope the Boone family is trying to keep the son as far away from her as possible and keep him surrounded by actual, genuine love from a family. And I say it all the time, I do hold empathy for how many family members she has lost. That is hard, and that will easily harden someone's heart and make you apathetic to death. But she uses that as a weapon constantly. It's like at the crime scene when they ask, do you have any place to go? She says, I've got no one. I've got...
Both my parents are deceased, my grandparents are deceased, my aunt and uncle are deceased. I got nobody. I have a brother that's in the Marines, and I've got another one that's in jail. Unless your brother that's Marines is local? No. Well, he's in Altamont, but I think he's doing whatever Marine thing he's doing.
Everyone is dead. And they're like, well, I have two brothers, but, you know, that kind of makes it look like I have someone, so I'm going to say I have no one. And says her Marine brother is in Altamont, but he's doing his Marine thing. What does that even mean? I'm sorry. I don't talk to my brother a ton. Like, we're fine. We just don't talk a whole bunch. But if I'm involved in a murder investigation, crime scene, trying to claim my innocence, saying I didn't do this, you best believe I'm waking his ass up and saying, I'm coming over. Sorry. All I need you to do is unlock the door and give me a couch. That's it. And I looked it up. I GPS'd how far away it was. Child, it is 20 minutes away from the Orange County Police Sheriff's Office. So you mean to tell me 20 minutes away is so far out that you can't ask him to spend the night? Unless you ruin that relationship and you're just not saying it, which, you know, wouldn't be shocking per se, but 20 minutes away, making it seem like He's out there doing his Marine thing. Also, you done told the cops 7 million times that George's family's trying to kill you. Why not go to the Marine Brothers house for protection? I'm pretty sure your Marine brother could protect you greater than Brian and your 11-year-old. Or 9-year-old at that time. But no, she has to make sure it looks like she has 0 resources so that people will feel worse for her. And then she says it in the interrogation too, where they're like, they can't even release the body. And she's like, oh, I've been there. Parents, grandparents, aunts, and uncles.
My body can't even be released, so I've been there with parents, grandparents, and uncles.
And I'm like, you've been there before? As in, you've had family members locked in suitcases and died? And then you waited for their body to be released? Because that's the only way that conversation, those words coming out of your mouth make any kind of sense. Otherwise, you're just devaluing the suffering that that family will go through. And you're equating it to your suffering of, I've already been there, you know. Unless your entire family has been murdered horrifically, you haven't been there. And Train knows it too. That in summation, you using your deceased family will not change anything because they, much like your son, have nothing to do with what you're actually arguing over, which is the alimony. So let your family rest, let his family rest, as they're trying to make you the dumb black sheep. I know it's not racist, it just feels not great to hear that. The dumb black sheep. Like, I don't get it. Do they call you the black sheep of the family? You're not part of their family. You're married and you can't be a black sheep when you were doctored in. And that indoctrination has been broken legally. You are the black sheep of their family because they're like, why are you here? Why do you still have our name? Why are you still bugging us? Stop calling. They've poisoned my son and pitted him against me since day one, when I was just 9 days into my incarceration. Former husband took it upon himself to make the egregious decision to tell him I would be gone and he wouldn't see me for 25 years or longer of his little life.
Do you understand that if we were to proceed to trial in this matter, and if you were found guilty, the lowest permissible sentence that the court could levy in this case would be 22.5 years in the Department of Corrections? Do you understand that? Ma'am, understanding the state's offer, do you wish to accept or reject the state's offer to resolve this case?
Reject. Will the jury find the defendant guilty of murder in the second degree?
It's over. It's over. It's over. It's finished. It's over. It's over. It's over. It's over.
I always have to play that clip. But yeah, Brian was right. He's not going to see you for a minimum of 22 and a half years, 25 years. I do not see a world where he does actually sentence her to anything less than 25 years. It's definitely going to be more. And yeah, 9 days is not that long. How long do you think they are supposed to just not tell him things? Mom's not been back for a week. No one's telling me the answers. So I keep asking, when's mom coming home? You're not going to see your mother for at least 25 years or later or longer. And that is a hard truth that a child needs to accept. And he had no concept of the gravity of your actions when it was first explained to him. So yeah, they have to continually explain things to a 9-year-old so that he understands why his mom will not come home. And you had every opportunity. You could have been there way before 25 years. You could have been there in 8 years, that 15-year plea deal, which I know they offered it because they knew she would reject it. And it just protects the record. It says she's going to say that it was so unfair that we didn't help her whatsoever. She was facing 22 and a half years for a horrific murder she was 100% going to be found guilty of. And we offered her 15. She could have had a life with her son. And now she won't. And then she says, little life, to just remind you that this is a young son. She uses that boy and his age nonstop. What are you going to do when he's an adult? I bet you are going to stop talking about him completely when you can no longer use his age as a crutch, as a vulnerability, as something to be sympathetic towards. Oh, young children need their mothers. That is something that most people believe and most people can empathize and sympathize with. And so she weaponizes that, saying, I need to go home. And she said that in the interrogation towards the end. I was done at that point. And I'm not going to play it because she says his name too many times. And if you'll notice, I don't say his name on my channel because I don't like to personally. And I think that we should not use the name of children if we can avoid it. And I know some people mention it in the comments, but if you don't read the comments, you will never know his name by watching this channel. And I would like to keep it that way. But she said multiple times, my son's waiting for me to come home. So now my son's not going to have me come home. It's like, yeah, you walked into a police station the day after committing a murder, or maybe 2 days, but the day after we know officially that you committed the murder and are shocked that you're not leaving. That alcohol will do something else, I'll tell you what. My son cannot be my son and is tortured by the confusion in whether he can be close to me, like we've always been, or even be nice to me. I feel to be alone. I don't know. Our son is just an innocent pawn in former husband's scheme to seek his sad, bitter, unrelenting revenge against me. And this is what we call projection, because you have done nothing but use your son as a pawn. And now you're saying your husband is doing that by not forcing them to talk to you. You are saying he cannot be your son and is tortured by the confusion. He seems very clear. It does not seem like he is confused whatsoever. At least in all the things that you're quoting, you're never saying that he says, I wish I could go, I wish I could see you, but dad won't let me. I wish I could talk to you, but dad won't let me. It is him saying, I don't want to talk to you. And you being in complete disbelief, so you assume that it must be someone else controlling him. And that's the reason he won't be my son. It couldn't be because I murdered another male figure in his life and everyone else has told me the horrible things that she has consistently done and that she probably didn't love me as much as she said she did. Couldn't be any of that. Has to be the husband using him as a pawn. But let's see, who really uses the son as a pawn?
I was worried about my son. I went to my former husband's residence where my son was located.
You were going to spend the night there with your son and with your ex-husband?
Correct.
And did you do that?
My son, yes.
All right.
My son can't come over here because he's here.
He doesn't live here.
He doesn't live here. Ow. I want to see my son. It's not fair.
Okay.
I can have my son come over?
It's your house.
My son out of school.
That's fine.
We will definitely make sure that you don't feel scared when we leave here, okay?
And my 9-year-old.
Well, he's at school. He's with your husband.
I know. Well,
ex-husband.
Oh, okay, Mom. I don't know what it is.
Exactly. And that's what we're here to find out. We're just here to get the answer. The answers that you want, the answers that his family's going to want.
I just really want to see my son. I really need to see my son.
Everything else, I have no idea what it is. No idea what it is. Nonetheless, I've had my son over the house, too, so why is it you all think that y'all don't know me, you don't know me, nope, would do something like that, especially having a 9-year-old son? I don't think you all understand who I am, where...
Okay. Well, tell me.
I mean, I've always been a straight-A student. I am an outstanding mother to my son. Okay. I excel at every...
Yet he's using your son as a pawn. You can't keep his name out your mouth if you were paid alimony to do so. Calling the father sad, bitter, unrelenting. Who is really unrelenting in this whole situation? Who will not stop calling them after they have made it clear we do not want to speak with you? And why does he need to take revenge on you? Him not helping you with a situation you put yourself in is him taking revenge in your mind? Wild. And he's confused that he can't be nice to you. Did you not just open with the fact that the husband came in and told him to not be mean to you? But that's what she does. She contradicts herself constantly. Anything that makes her look good in the moment is the truth. And when that quote unquote truth makes her look bad later on, well, then that was a lie. And what I'm saying now is the truth. His house is broken plastic and covered in fool's gold. He is not the angel he appears to be. He is an insensitive, callous tyrant and fully endorsed by his family. No one listens to me. See, and that's where you're wrong. Everyone listens to you because you don't make that an option. Everyone has to listen to you. They just don't believe you. And there's a difference. They do not have to believe you because you have done nothing to earn that belief. Every time you lie again and again and again, that credibility goes down and down and down. So why on earth would they keep listening to you when 90% of it is lies to get what you want? And his house is covered in fool's gold and broken plastic. Child, your house is covered in center blocks and metal bar doors. Well, maybe the doors have been updated, but I like to imagine that she's just holding on to bars behind the door in her cell. Oh yeah, she's not in the cell yet. Maybe the cell that she'll be put in will have bars. Who knows? But that is your house now. His house could be made of fool's gold all he wants to be. At least it looks shiny. At least it's his. At least he can move around in it. He's not the angel he appears to be. And are you the angel you appear to be? You're telling us you're not the devil that you appear to be. Which I don't quite believe that either, so I don't quite believe this. No one's perfect. I'm sure he's meaner than he's presented at times, as we all are. But that does not mean that he is this insensitive, callous tyrant. He was there for you way past when he should have been. He shouldn't have come over. He shouldn't have taken that phone call. Had it been me and she told me she killed George, I would have said, call the police, hung up, and then I would have called the police and say, hi, my crazy psycho ex-baby mama just told me that she killed her current boyfriend. She lives boom, 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 boom. She told me to come over. I didn't come over yet. So I'm going to let y'all go there first, and then I'll come over to answer any questions. How's that sound? But no, he decided to go and try to help you and probably heard what you said, because there's no doubt in my mind that she asked him to try to fix this in some way, either to help her hide the body, get rid of George in some way, or to just take the blame altogether. I think she was trying to set him up by getting him over there to get his fingerprints, skin cells, evidence that shows he was there. He did this to George. And he didn't do it. He walked in, walked right out and said, call the police. Said he had to tell her 3 times because she did not want to do it. And we heard that on the call when she's... Linda has had things to say, but she heard it too on that phone call when she started. She did not want to be there, and that's why she said it so blunt. My boyfriend is dead.
Is this a police or medical? My boyfriend is dead. Okay, send the line for the fire department. Do not hang up.
And that long, awkward pause as though the operator was supposed to fill in the rest of the story. She said only what she needed to say and was not going to give any information past that unless they asked. That call is just so cringe to me. It's honestly one of the coldest phone calls I've ever heard. Like, I've never heard anyone who genuinely cared about what happened to this person sound like that. Sounded like she didn't want to be on that phone more than anything else in the world. So yeah, people listen to you. You're just mad that they listen to you, like hear the actual words that you're saying and not the intention that you have behind them. But moving on. I have made the active decision to not call for an undetermined length of time so I can take a break from the beratement. I can only take the terrors inflicted by former husband in doses. Right now, I've gotten my fill from both of them. If my son wants to speak to me, he can write or schedule a visit, which I doubt will happen from the lack of encouragement and inclusion of me to have a relationship with our son by former husband. This is some wild, backwards, gaslighting, you can't fire me because I quit kind of response. They already told you they don't want to talk to you whatsoever. So how are you going to phrase it like you're punishing them of, I have made the decision not to talk to them, the active decision not to call them. They made the active decision not to call you long before you made this one. For an undetermined length of time, which could be in 2 days. I do want a determined length of time. Give me at least a month or two without you, and then we can talk a little more. And only what you can take from the beratement. You notice how you kept saying that you are not calling, not that you are not accepting calls, because you haven't gotten any. Maybe they'll do the occasional one here and there on your birthday, 10-10. She is the one who has berated them constantly by going to them. I can only take the terror inflicted on me in doses. Again, everything is inflicted on you. They're doing this to you by not wanting to talk to you. And right now you've gotten your fill from both of them. There you are, like clumping your son in with the husband who you are calling abusive. You are calling both former husband and son abusers of you over the phone for them not listening to you. If my son wants to speak to me, he can write or schedule a visit, which I doubt will happen. Yeah, because it doesn't want to. He already told you he's not going to do these things and wants to get as far away from you as possible. But you are now saying, no, I'm putting my foot down. If you want to talk to me, even though you said you just don't want to talk to me, then you need to write and schedule a visit to be worth my time, even though I doubt that will happen because former husband. So it's not because he doesn't want to, like he already told you. It's because the husband will not encourage him to talk to you, as though it is the ex-husband's job to get your son to talk to you. It isn't, but you're going to put that responsibility on him as well. Lack of encouragement and inclusion of you. Inclusion of you how? You can't be included when you're in jail. You excluded yourself by getting arrested after taking someone's life. So no, I'm not going to encourage or include my son with an active murderer. It would honestly be a bad parenting move if he was still trying to include you as much as you were, or as much as he tried to include you back before when you wouldn't honor the custody agreement and never take your son when you were supposed to. Not never, but rarely took him on the times you were supposed to or fully during that time. It's always something to get him back, then get him back. Now you enjoy your little playtime. You have all that fun. It's the same thing with everyone else. Everyone says you're so fun until you're not. And I'm sure that's how you felt about your son too. I love this until he gets complex, until he talks back like a child does. Then it's, well, I need a drink. We're getting in an argument. Brian didn't wake me up, so I couldn't pick you up from school. If you were there for your son when you were supposed to be and when he needed you to be, he would be there for you. Instead of you asking him to be forced to be nice to you, to be caring, to be loving, to be all inclusive of you in every way imaginable. Please understand, I can only take so much on top of everything else. I love my son. I need my son. Just not this version. Not right now. Then you don't actually love your son. You need him to be the crutch that you want him to, but you don't actually love him if you don't need this version, if you don't want this version right now. When he is going through crucial developmental times, handling such stress, such weight that you can't comprehend a child having to have at that age. Yes, you had to deal with your family dying early on in your life, which is hard in its own right. You didn't have to deal with your family being murderers, bringing all of the spotlight on you, and then putting all that weight on you to make them feel better about themselves, about their choices, about what their parent decided to do. Your son needed you. It doesn't matter if you need your son. And let's just get that out there. Parents, you are not entitled need from your child. They are children for a reason. They need you in order to raise them to become functioning adults. And then once they're functioning adults, hopefully you have raised them properly to where they want to maintain that very strong, loving relationship to where they want to take care of you. But if you have children with the intention or desire for them to fulfill your needs, then don't have children. That's like, I saw a comment on another video the other day where someone's like, I want biological grandchildren. Parents raise their children because they want their grandbabies of their own. That is the most toxic bull I've ever heard. And if you are like that, stop. Your children do not owe you anything, especially not biological grandchildren. If you get grandchildren in any way, you cherish them, you love them, you be happy. But children are not created to fulfill your needs, wants, or desires. If they do that, that's amazing. You can set them up to be successful that aligns with that. But a good parent puts their child's wants and needs above their own. Your child is telling you he needs space. He doesn't need you in his life right now because it is causing a lot of turmoil. And instead of being a good parent, saying, I'm here whenever you're ready. I understand what you're dealing with is hard. I'm sorry that what I've done, my choices have been put upon you. This has nothing to do with you. You did nothing wrong. You didn't cause us to get a divorce. You didn't cause me to kill someone. These are all decisions that I made, that I have to deal with. You have to live your life. And I am here to support you any way I can. I love you. I will always love you. Even if you don't love me sometimes, even if it is hard for you to like me sometimes. That is what a selfless parent provides for their child. What can I do? What can you do, please? This is not right. Every time I try to speak to former husband about anything, ends up ugly and unsuccessful. He has taken it upon himself to self-diagnose my case from watching YouTube. His reliable source. Hey, Brian. I know you're not listening to this, but could you imagine? This is not a reliable source, but it is a reliable source of entertainment and just rants and raves. But just these two questions. What can I do? What can you do? Please. You are supposed to tell him what you want him to do. Not that you have issues and that he should come up with the solution for you. That is not how a judge works. That is how lawyers work. They help you come up with these solutions so that you can get them. But you need to have one first. Apparently, Mr. Bankowitz was your family law lawyer for some time as well. I don't know what he possibly did. If he was just cashing in hours for both. I mean, honestly, drain her dry at this point. The amount of times she called you and bugged you about everything. I couldn't imagine how many times she called you about this case on top of the criminal case. But yeah, they help you come up with solutions. You do not petition the judge to figure things out for you. And of course, Court TV. Telling me my trial is less than 3 weeks away. Assumes I fire all of my attorneys. Remember, I am on number 6, but not by choice. He was wrong about that. Your trial was not 3 weeks away from when you sent this letter. It was years away because we all underestimated your ability to be uncooperative, your ability to be adversarial, indignant, salacious, petulant, tyrannical, obtuse, and obstinate. No one was prepared for that. So we had no idea you would go through 7, 8, 9 more lawyers. I guess 10, 11. By the end of it, you had 11 lawyers, including Mr. Beck and Mr. Henderson. 11 lawyers over 4.5 years for an hour-and-a-half verdict. Damn. Wow, all of that work for an hour and a half, all of this. Can you imagine hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of handwritten paper letters for an hour and a half? And that is including dinner. That is being nice with a dinner break included. We have no idea how long that dinner break was, but we know for a fact the verdict would have come back even sooner if that had not happened. So I always just keep that in mind when I see all of this, all of her complaining, all of that. Which is to say, the reality of the situation is pretty easy to see. You were unmanageable. It would have been better if you did fire them. She doesn't quite get that. Not by choice makes it even worse. I know she thinks it's not by choice because everyone gives up on me because they blame me for their inadequacies and this and that. No, like lawyers have difficult clients all the time. That is part of the job. And they find ways to manage them and to work through them. Even if they don't like them, they know how to represent them to get them through the end of the trial with all of their rights intact. And sometimes when the client is just too much, they end up firing the lawyer. Rarely does the lawyer try to withdraw. Rarely do this many lawyers try to withdraw. And every single one of them said it was for adversarial relationship and ethical considerations, meaning she yelled at them and wanted them to be unethical and just lie for her because she lies so effortlessly. And I'm talking about the 4 that withdrew from her, not the 4 that were withdrawn before working with her. People really like to hype that up of, well, it was only 4. Yeah, 100% of the lawyers who worked with her, court-appointed lawyers, withdrew. 100%. So that's not a good batting average. So she had to put out the circus ad and then finally found her clown who likes to lie for her. Good for her. That's just wild to me. Mr. Owens, like, is using this as a popularity boost. I don't know his motives truly, but now his whole career, all 35 years, will be tethered to Miss Sarah Paulsen's hour-and-a-half verdict trial. That's just sad.
And constantly tells me how wrong I am doing everything. He keeps asking me why I keep delaying everything. He gives assumed case details about witnesses, occurrences, etc. over the phone, telling me about my case. He is assuming everything. He thinks he knows everything about my case. This is wrong. I'm being penalized even more for wrong, empty accusations and information.
So it's like, at this point, what are we even talking about, right? What legally are we talking about? You are saying your ex-husband is self-diagnosing your criminal case, which has nothing to do with this civil court case, and telling you incorrect details and making you feel bad about your case. Your case. She loves to claim ownership over this. I'm like, you know what? You hold that energy. You claim ownership. This is your case and your guilty verdict, your sentencing. Claim ownership of it all the way to the end. Because it's not actually your case. It is about the murder of Jorge Torres. You happen to be the one who did it and got caught doing it by your own admission and own recorded evidence, but it's not inherently about you. If someone else had done it, it wouldn't be about them either. If Brian was more involved, it wouldn't be about Brian either. It is not your case. It is a trial against you, but there's a difference in my mind. It may not be a difference in everyone else's mind, but I just can't stand, because the more she claims ownership over it, the less we think about George, which was truly her whole plan from start to finish. She wanted to erase George as much as possible. Because I've said this in so many videos, the closer you look at George and the closer you look at his life and what he went through being together with her, the worse she looks. She is portraying herself to be this victim of him, this battered spouse who was controlled and beaten all the time. And then the closer you look, the worse it looks for her. It shows, oh, so you were hitting him too. Oh, so you were recording him too. Oh, so you were controlling him. Oh, you took the car. Oh, you took the phone. Oh, you kicked him out of the house. Oh, you took him off the lease. Oh, you hit him with a car. I feel like we forget about that. Let's detour for half a second. She hit him with a car.
Did she physically touch George, or was she just getting really upset and
like she came out upset? But there's a person, I can't remember, somebody seen him because he was on a bike one day, and he told me, I can't remember the person it was, because he was on a bicycle and she hit him with the car.
I'm sorry, what? Are you kidding me? Sarah Daryl Boone Brooks hit him with a car. This just keeps getting more and more mind-blowing and worse. And she's not a victim. I'm there. I'm saying it. I'm there. She's not a victim. She gets her own self hurt. She's hitting him with a car. Wow. And that was never brought up during the trial because it's not connected to this. However, it just is like, oh my gosh, she is a nightmare. She is a terror. Not only did she hit him, not only did she get his brother to beat him up after she goes in complaining, saying he beat me, he did this, he did that.
maybe 2.5?
That happened because she said they was drunk. They was at my mom's house. At mom's house. That's the other one.
Is it last name Torres?
Torres. Okay. They had got into it because Sarah had came and said that George had beat her, and then they got into it, but I wasn't there that day.
And then in the same breath, she's going to say that family hates her, even though whichever brother it was defended her against your victim, that you were able to further victimize. And this is a weird tangent now. It's just bringing up my mind. I cannot stand how she treated that fight. She tried to distance herself from it when the police asked about it, and try to make herself look good again by saying, well, actually, I tried to get him to go to the hospital, and I tried to get him to do this follow-up and this and that. It's like you talked him into that ass whooping. When she phrased it as something that she was completely detached from.
He and his brother got into a really bad argument at one point. He had to have facial reconstruction, but he had been in the hospital from that. And then I talked him into going to see like a regular physician so he could get just like a regular like checkup thing. Yeah. But there were no red flags.
How long ago was that?
The surgery or the doctor?
Both.
The surgery I think was at this point, what, 2 years maybe?
And you're glossing over that and only going to the good things you've done. And the reason why that is so upsetting to me is because she would use that again and again. George had to have facial reconstruction surgery after that fight with his brother. And so if you look back and you see any of the ways that she describes him in text, she says, keep his fugly effed up face away from me. And that's a little dig, right? On the outside, it seems like, oh, she's just calling him ugly. No, it's a more intense dig of you had facial reconstruction surgery because you did something against me and I got that to happen to you.
It's a Torres thing. Boo. Sends a picture. Keep the fugly creep out too. It's still fugly. Lose. The brother responds, please do something with yourself, Sarah. God bless you. The defendant's response, and bless you and all of you too. I'll get, in all capitals, rid of him. Then it'll be, in all capitals, better. Ugh. Torres.
So take yourself and your fugly, broken, effed up face and get out of my life. It's just like, she's just so cruel in ways that she is willing to go below the belt. And so she has no problem doing that. But we are supposed to care because it is such an injustice that Brian is saying, hi, you've gone through 8 lawyers, directly or indirectly. Because many lawyers could not represent her because they represented George because she kept having him arrested. All records show and all evidence I've been able to see is that he didn't really have a record before this, or at least a record for domestic violence. I think he not always, but he has had a long-standing issue with alcohol And all of his ex-wives says that he was just a cheater and a wandering eye. Okay, that tracks. But the amount of times she called the police on him, and I'm pretty sure every single time he was arrested, he had marks on him as well. And there were times he got arrested where she had no marks. She would just point and say, look, you see this? You see how bad this is? No, I don't actually. But let's take a picture because maybe in a few days it'll get bigger. And if it does, you can call us out here. We'll take more pictures again. Never happened because she never wanted to follow through with it. That made me so upset in that September 4th body cam footage where she does the whole charade circus, getting him pulled out of the house in the middle of the night. He was hiding in the bathroom. And then at the very end, she agreed she was going to fill out the paperwork, put on the waterworks. And then at the very end, they said, okay, you need to go to court. She's like, do I have to go to court? I don't have to go to court, right? And they're like, well, you can reschedule if you need to. Well, no, I just don't want to go to court. And it's because she only wanted him to be punished. She didn't actually want to follow through.
759. So they're going to call me tomorrow and say, hey, you need to show up for court? If I don't show up, do I get in trouble?
If you just explain the circumstances why you can't, then you won't get in trouble. That's for sure. So they'll just try and reschedule with the day that works for you or whatever.
But I have to go?
Just discuss with them on the phone. I'm not a lawyer. I can't tell you that.
What do you mean, do you have to go to court?
So she amps things up as the worst possible thing. He beat me nonstop. I fear for my life. My son can't come over. I just need him away. Do you want to go to court? Oh, no. I mean, that could keep him away more permanently. Well, no. I don't want him like gone. I just want him gone right now. And I'm going to tell you he's the worst human who's ever lived so that you will give me what I want. So similarly, trying to connect it here, she is telling you he is just the worst person. He is so abusive. He is telling me about my case. He is doing this, doing that. He is penalizing me because of baseless allegations. They're not really baseless when the lawyers themselves said point blank, period, we can't work with her. She is a nightmare. But you'll notice that all of the claims she says are baseless and all of the claims she says are lies are only lies because she doesn't admit to them, at least in that moment. But the evidence is there. The eyewitnesses are there. The common sense is there. And then down the line, when it looks better for her to actually tell the truth, she'll tell the truth. Oh, yeah, that was a lie. Yeah, I did lie. So it's all of this to say, what does this matter? How can we believe you about anything if we know you lie about everything? This has nothing to do with this case. The judge can't do anything about this. How is this civil court judge going to tell your husband to not talk to you about your other case or to not assume things? I don't get it. See, the water heater doesn't get it either. We are on the same page.
This only multiplies his anger and spitefulness. Is to do everything I can to keep him here. Ludicrous.
Ludicrous going in on the verse because I've never been defeated and I won't stop now.
This is why I felt the need, Judge Dean, to hesitantly include you in the ongoing struggles I'm having with former husband and his incompetence regarding my life and case. It's never ending and only gets worse.
Child, this is something you tell your therapist, not your judge you are begging for money for. This is just wild. Every time I don't know. This is why I hesitantly chose to include you. You didn't hesitate whatsoever. You even said in this letter that you had to threaten him with this letter. You said I had to threaten him. He only did what I did because I told him I was writing this letter. And she did this in a past IMS record, which I think stands for Internal Management System, but I'm not completely sure. But it's her behavioral records where she got into an argument with someone whose last name is Ortiz Torres. She does not like anyone with Torres in the name. I'll just say that. And she threatened being like, do I need to write a motion using your full name? Because she knows this is going to get publicity. She didn't know this particular letter was because her divorce court case was sealed at first. But kind of, I think she also expected this to be unsealed as well, because she was writing her criminal court case letters at the same time. They had the same tone, the same intention, and the same outcome of no response from the judge. So there was no hesitation in writing this letter. You were preaching. Also, we are going to take a quick aside for a minute. I meant to bring this up earlier. Y'all got snippy with me in the comments of last video about me talking about her writing over the margins and how some graphologists say people who write over the margins have no issue also pushing social boundaries. It's a little thing, but it actually kind of tracks. This is what I'm talking about. Look, she's writing inside the margin on this one. And there's multiple ones where she wrote inside the margin. She wrote inside the margin on this one, on this one, on this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. So when I say that she chooses when she wants to write over the margins, it's a choice. It's not because she doesn't have paper. As we see, she has no issue going on diatribes while staying in the margins. But when she chooses to go outside the margins, I have never seen her do, well, I mean, I was going to say a nice letter, but she's never written a nice letter. But when she writes using the whole margin, it is just the most unhinged of the letters. And she is clearly the angriest trying to get a reaction or a response. So yes, I do understand that resources are limited in jail. That has never stopped her before. She chooses to write over when she wants to, and she chooses to stay in the margins when she wants to. Again, it's a little thing that means nothing in the grand scheme of things, but it tracks with the behavior. She has no problem listening to no boundaries, crossing any boundaries of appropriateness and decorum. And he tells her in a future letter, which was the first letter on the divorce course case that we covered on this channel, that if you want a response, if you want this to be a motion, you need to use proper headings, proper format. It needs to look like a motion that you want a response from, not a letter that you want to just bitch about shit. And then she's trying to contest the fact that she's trying to keep them there by all means necessary. Yes, that's literally what this whole motion is. That's literally what all of your complaints are saying, I need to get paid and they can't move away from me. Because when I get out of jail, it's going to be inconvenient for me for them to have moved. I'm back home right now, so we don't have train, but if you heard wind chimes agree. This is absurd. You absolutely try to keep them there at all costs by any means necessary, including writing absurd letters to the judge, expecting him to do, I don't know. I don't know what you expect him to do because you don't know what you expect him to do. And then his incompetence regarding my life and case. It's never ending and only gets worse. Yes, because you won't leave them alone. Tell me once. Tell me when they are coming after you and annoying you for money, you for resources, you for your time. It's not. It is a one-way linear street. You are contacting them. Sir, thank you for keeping the water warm, but I am filming. Okay, fine. That's fine. And of course you're like, my life, because you can't think about anyone else's life, which is what Brian is doing. He's thinking about, one, your son's life, and it's getting more. You have things to say. Okay, it's fine. We're just going to vibe with it for now. But he is thinking about his son's life first, his life second, your life last. And you can't stand it. You can't stand the fact that he does not care whatsoever, that he's trying to care even less. This isn't a case of he couldn't care less. He's trying to. He is digging down deeper and deeper to care less and less to get you out of their life and get your case out of their life. The only thing that involves them in your criminal case is that he's going to be a witness because you called him before you called the police. And the only time your son needs to be mentioned in the criminal case is to support the fact that he was calling you to see if you were going to pick up your son. But your son himself is not involved in this whatsoever. And you are making him an equal party in both of these cases under your mind, which is wild. Like, you're beefing with an 11-year-old because he told you about yourself over the phone. You know how many times kids say terrible things to their parents? That's a part of parenting, realizing that they have a lot of hormones going on, that they're dealing with a lot. They're still trying to conceive of a lot of concepts and things. Kids are mean and horrible. I'm sure he is having some struggles with his best friend because of all of this. Although you think it would be because of the move, when it probably is other factors regarding you and your mess that you throw on everyone else because you refuse to take responsibility for your own actions. But come Monday, you will have to finally take responsibility for your actions. No one else can, you can't blame anyone else. I mean, you will, but you can't. That sentence is something you earned all on your own. And it would have been way less if you took the deal, if you listened to Kranick at any point, or if you were just nice to people. You would have gone to jail already, you would have been halfway through whatever, but I'm still banking on life/life equivalent because of this kind of behavior. Always the victim, no matter what she does. She's not even acknowledging the fact that she has bugged them nonstop. And she's saying, I actually am going to teach them a lesson by not calling them, even though they said they don't want to talk to me to begin with. Boundaries? I don't know her. I never met her. I never seen a boundary that I wasn't willing to cross. And that is why your life is only getting worse. Truly. Mind your own business and things would have been way better for you. And then your son would actually want to reach out to you to say, oh yeah, I haven't talked to mom in a while. I want to make sure she's okay. Can we call? Can we visit? Can we do this or that? Sure, son. You haven't seen her in a few weeks because she decided to respect our space. And so, yeah, we can go see her or we can go do whatever. But you berating them every single day. Berating Brian for money and then berating the son to berate Brian for money. And this is such broke behavior.
Hide the money, y'all. There's poor people around. With your broke ass.
And to be fair, there's a difference between being broke and being impoverished. Many impoverished people have a lot of dignity and struggle, and because we're in America, it sucks, right? You can't avoid it in some aspects. Systems are designed to keep people in a certain economic status. I don't blame anyone from that. Being impoverished, you can't always control. Being broke is an attitude.
With your broke ass.
Oh, and she's so broke. She's broke morally. She's broke monetarily.
Insufficient funds. You ain't got no money. Woo.
And honestly, she's broken. And I can have empathy for that. However, you still have to take responsibility for yourself, even if you are broken in this moment in time. Because if you don't take responsibility, you can never be healed. You can never be put back together. You can never be fully formed. And you will keep breaking yourself and breaking the bridges and straining the relationships of everyone around you and still saying it's all their fault.
I would also like it to be known I have not gotten any of my orders for a hygiene kit, deodorant that works, toothpaste, and a washcloth, or for a measly coffee package that I began asking for in July and after you approved on September 13th during our meeting. My ability to start receiving alimony again after former husband immensely diminished and tried to stop.
See, now, she's slippery with that phrasing, and she does this a lot, and it's super annoying. Again, the judge doesn't need to know you haven't gotten your orders. Take that up with delivery in jail and God. He'll listen to you all the time, take every single complaint you have, but this is not the judge's fault to be able to figure this out for you. Any orders for a hygiene kit, deodorant that works, meaning you do have deodorant, it's just not good enough for you. And for a measly coffee package, see, you are undercutting the coffee package because you want to make it seem like, oh, see, this is so nothing. This isn't even anything. Why couldn't I even get a measly little coffee package? He won't do anything for me. When you really need to reverse it, it is a measly coffee package. This means nothing. Actually, the hygiene kit means more than a measly coffee package. And she goes, and underline, after you approved on September 13th during our meeting, my ability to start receiving alimony. And at first it makes it sound like the judge approved of these orders. Get her the measly coffee package, get her hygiene kit. But no, it is, he approved your ability to start receiving alimony again. But not that you are entitled to have your deliveries delivered on time or in a fashionable manner. And sure, if he said you are able to receive alimony and Brian's still not paying, yeah, that is him in contempt, but he's also in the process of removing that. And so there's a waiting list to get to your contempt hearing, which is 1, criminal case got to get done. 2, this motion to reduce or completely eliminate alimony has to be done. And then, is he held in contempt? And if the alimony gets reduced, he can retroactively reduce that, meaning he can get rid of the alimony from the moment you became incarcerated because your financial situations really did improve for the better. You went from living off $1,100 a month, $1,000 for alimony, $100 for childcare or child support, to now having 3 square meals a day,
Bon appetit.
a roof over your head, free heating, free air condition, free water. It may not be good. All those resources may be bad, but they are resources you did not have beforehand for free. And if the alimony is retroactively terminated, then he's not in contempt and doesn't owe you a thing.
It's the middle of October. There's always an excuse. The most recent, and for the last 3 months, is that his debit credit card won't work because it's a jail and people steal. He's had to use our son's allowance card just to finally get me a hot meal I mentioned to you, which ended up coming on my birthday.
Bon appetit.
10/10, in case you forgot. The million times I fucking said it. Only because I told him about this letter I'm writing.
And you're damn right he immensely diminished and tried to altogether stop. What do you need in jail with $1,000 a month? I know you could definitely spend $1,000 a month in jail, but what do you need with it? Something tells me, I don't know why, it just feels like it's up her alley that when she got a few months where she was, oh my gosh, why is everything so loud right now? Whatever, please forgive the background chorus of maintenance noises. But I just have a feeling, no proof whatsoever, that she bragged about how much money she has and was probably using it recklessly and probably developed some enemies and this and that. Maybe not, I just feel like she would flaunt it if she had it and others didn't. And now that she doesn't have it, she can't stand it. Wow, it is really loud. I may have to refilm. I may just keep it. Who knows?
I'm still waiting on the other orders so I can be alert and presentable when my attorney does finally show up, who still has not since the last time I spoke to you.
And there it is. Since I do the first read through, I sometimes jump around mentally to know where I'm at. But yeah, this is it. She uses these letters to threaten actions. That's the only reason she's doing this. She did it in the criminal case with the lawyers, because we also know that she wrote letters directly to them. But because of confidentiality, we'll never see those letters. Odds are she didn't get the answer she wanted from that, so she went to the judge to try to force actions again and just embarrassed herself again and again and again. And she thinks that contacting the judge is the reason that people did actions. It's no, they want you to stop writing about them because you're basically doxing people who never wanted to be involved with your case in the first place. You are putting the addresses of your lawyers here left and right. And yes, it is public record and you could look it up. But when you throw it right in people's face, it's right in people's face. And that means your little fan out there can harass them if they want. And just dealing with the hassle of it all, I'm sure other people they know read these letters and definitely they don't believe you, but even bringing it up to them again and again is probably just annoying to the point of they just want it out of their lives. If this will get her to stop writing these stupid letters, I'll throw this dog a bone. And that may have worked the first few times. And now it's no longer working, so she amps them up again and again. I think by the time we get to that last letter, she's written 16 plus letters to the divorce court judge.
Judge Michael Dean. In all my attempts, 16 plus, to protect myself and help from the still ongoing hate, lies, slander, degradation, cruelty, and active abuse from former husband.
I think it's 16 plus letters for the criminal court judge. And I really hope Kranick takes all of that into consideration. I think he will, because he took it into consideration when he was stripping her rights to have a court-appointed lawyer away from her. So we know he's read the letters. He sees how demanding she is. He sees how unremorseful she is in every sense of the word. How she diminishes his death, wouldn't even say his name for years and years. You want to talk about everyone and everything in these letters, but you won't mention George. You mentioned, I think, Mr. Torres once, and that was after someone accused you of doing bad things and you were trying to defend yourself. And then I think you said George once in one of the hearings when they said, hi, you were arrested for strangulation, 3rd-degree felony. And then that's when you used his name. You've never once used it when you weren't taking advantage of his name, weren't trying to undercut it, or when you were just being dismissive of his entire existence. And she wonders why people are dismissive of her existence when she treats people like this. And I'm so glad you finally got your hot meal on your birthday, 10-10, 10-10-7-7, 10-10-7-7, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I get it, I do. And it shouldn't annoy me as much as it does. And I don't think it's necessarily the fact that she says 10-10-7-7, it's the way she says it. Every single time, it's the same. Like, she's so proud of that birthday, and I'm like, congratulations. Oh, and then I like the undercutting of it. I finally got the hot meal on my birthday only because I told him about writing the letter. Not because it was your birthday and he decided to be nice to make sure that you had a hot meal on your birthday. That was probably the reason, but no, you said the only underlined reason is because I told him about this letter. And you told him about this letter, but then what, a paragraph ago you said I was hesitant to include you in this when this is sent directly to him? None of it ever makes sense.
Please note also, my bank account, which I've had for 30 years, has closed.
Insufficient funds. You ain't got no money.
Due to former husband's failure to pay alimony as instructed by our dissolution of marriage agreement, then also by you. I cannot deposit any checks. One I have been waiting on for him to mail me since February and could use towards commissary when he wasn't giving anything.
All right, we changed locations. I am pausing so much during this, but she's mentioned this before. So you wanted this so that you would look, quote unquote, presentable for the attorney that you were going to abuse when they showed up saying, you didn't talk to me, you didn't talk to that. Tell me, why haven't I seen all the hard copies of this very important evidence in my case? But this exposes more of that narcissism. It's not just I needed this for me. I needed this so that I would look presentable in front of my lawyer, who doesn't care how you look, right? Like, you're a murderer, right? How you look is not going to change how your lawyer sees you. That's like those times when she was stapling her prison uniform together or jail uniform together to try to make the legs skinnier to look better. And it was because she wanted to look better for whoever was coming to see her. I think at that time it was like mentor lawyer or whoever answered her little circus ad first to go see her. She wanted to look good and presentable for them. Maybe it was Owens, who knows? But, child. And then when my lawyer finally shows up, who has not since the last like, why does this judge need to know that? You don't have a lawyer for this judge. This is family court. You don't have a right to court-appointed counsel. So you have no one. Why does this matter to this judge? It doesn't. But this is just you airing your grievances. Because the truth is, she's airing her grievances to us, right? It's not really to the judge. She wants the judge to do something, but she just wants to make as many people as possible know. That's why in prior letters, she said she wants this to be made unsealed, unpublic, so that she can go on the clerk's website and print off this and that, even though she says she doesn't have access to this and that.
1. Remove non-public status online to view print my documents. If unable, please explain why. The non-public status makes it impossible to utilize any contents I need from the website, since no one will provide for me and cannot obtain anywhere else.
Even though there are more official channels for her to go through in order to get information, but that is the quickest in her mind, so everyone must adapt to that. And then she'll want to change it when it doesn't work out. That's what's always funny to me. She's always like, I came up with the solution this, I came up with this solution. I'm always coming up with solutions. Your solutions are 90% wrong. Like when you were struggling to open that suitcase, when Mr. J had the suitcase on the podium, and she was like, well, wouldn't it be easier if it's on the floor? And he's like, I mean, I guess I just didn't want to make you bend down, but because she has to have it her way, they did. And she looked like an awkward mess.
This was up here. This was not this hard either. So this was like here.
Okay.
Right here.
About right there, ma'am?
Sure.
Okay.
Just tell me where it's at.
I mean, it was the corner. I mean, the corner was cut open. I mean, it's not.
Like a penguin trying to unzip a suitcase. Your bank account closing has nothing to do with Brian. It has everything to do with you being broke.
With your broke ass.
You, for 2 or more years, failing to have a job of any kind when you absolutely could have. You are able-bodied, you rave about your intelligence all the time, you say you know more than everyone. You could have held a job at some point. We know you had receptionist jobs in the past, so you could have acquired some funds to keep that account open.
Insufficient funds.
But you had nothing because you wasted it all on alcohol every single day. Even though to you, you didn't have an alcohol issue until the trial started and you realized that would actually look better for you. But don't make your inadequacies, your lack of building anything for yourself, your lack of having no money on Brian. It is not his responsibility to keep your bank account open. The fact that his alimony was the only thing keeping it open is a problem. And no judge is going to say, oh yeah, you were broke before this completely and had nothing in there, so it must be his fault. So he needs to pay so that you can get your 30-year bank account. Also, she's 47 right now. 30 years ago would have been 17. I believe this was 2 or 3 years ago. So she had this bank account since she was like, what, 15, 16? Which I guess is not unheard of, but I don't know about y'all. I do not have the same bank account I had when I first started having a bank account. It's low-key impressive to keep an account for that long, I think. Or maybe I'm just bad and I just change accounts too many times.
Hide the money, y'all. There's poor people around. With your broke ass.
But she says 30 years as though it were a flex and as though it mattered. It really doesn't. Whether you had it for 30 years or you had it for 2 months, your bank account is closed because there are no funds in it. So that argument remains the same, regardless of how many years you've had it. If you've had it for 30 years, then over 30 years of time, why did that bank account sit in the red for so long? And it's one thing to bring up the bank account was closed, even though I had it for 30 years. And you could warp this in a way that doesn't make you sound like an a-hole, which is, I've had one bank account for 30 years because I do not have my payments of alimony and I had nothing in there beforehand. It has closed. Is there any way for me to find a way to reopen my bank account in order to start receiving funds? There's a way to state that without accusing everyone of every bad decision and bad outcome in your life. But you cannot take any responsibility for anything. So it is 100% his fault that this happened to you. Oh, and we're going to take a side tangent here. You can't deposit any checks? You know who else wasn't allowed to deposit checks? George. Why? Because you held his birth certificate from him and then ripped it up when he didn't come crawling back to you. And that's another thing. So people keep saying, oh, she kept taking him back in. He kept going back to her. He shouldn't have done this. She shouldn't have done that. When you look at these text messages, she forced him to come back. She would start with the lovey-dovey, oh, come back, I want to play darts, give me a hug, this and that. And then hours later when he doesn't respond, it's, you better get over here now. I'm going to give you your birth certificate if you come over here. Sends the picture of that. And then sends another picture of it ripped up. See what you made me do? If only you had come over here when I called you and sat when I said sit, boy, then you would have your birth certificate. Because he mentioned that he needs it. He mentioned to Melissa, when Melissa went there to get his name off the lease, he said, she has my personal paperwork and she chained up my bike outside on your water heater or AC unit.
The only time I ever really saw George is the time when we actually got George to sign off the lease.
Right.
And he came to me and said, you know, I can't get back in the house. She's got all my personal paperwork. He goes, would you please have a conversation with her so that I can get my personal paperwork back from her? He goes, but do you have a bolt cutter, set of bolt cutters for my bicycle that's out back? And I said, what's it chained to, you know? And he said, it's actually chained to your AC unit.
Okay. And of course, was she willing to just give that out? No, because she claims ownership over anything, and what she has ownership of, she will hold a death grip over. There's also another body cam footage where she literally threw his birth certificate in the bushes. The police come up to her and say, hi, do you have the birth certificate? And she like points to the bushes and is like, it's in there somewhere. And basically the police are like, okay, look for it and give it to us. And she's like, it's here. I don't have it. I just threw it in the bushes, so I don't have it. You all need to look. Mind blowing. This is the way that she rationalized things. So the irony of her not being able to deposit checks now, just chef's kiss. Love it. I don't know what checks she has to deposit. She doesn't have anything. But if she did, I love that she can't deposit it. Because that's exactly what you did to your victim. You terrorized him financially, emotionally, physically, verbally, psychologically, all of it. You checked all the boxes. And now you're mad that you're getting just a little drop, a little taste drop of what you dished out to others. Now, if Brian came to visit you in jail, held up your check and started ripping it in front of you, and then kept doing that again and again and again, maybe you would understand that a little bit more. But I don't think you would. And that's the other reason why I think a life sentence or an equivalent like 50 plus years is appropriate, because she has not and will not learn her lesson. She refuses to. Maybe a couple decades in there, she will start to understand and take responsibility for what she did. And then a couple decades after that, will make corrections to try to change those behaviors and not be a perpetual victim when she is a perpetrator and predator and abuser and liar, manipulator, stealer, killer. All of my subscriptions are not being renewed. Anything with autopay cannot be approved. I can't even deposit the alimony former husband is supposed to be paying. I've had this account for 30 years. What subscriptions are you paying for in jail? Can you get subscriptions in jail? Maybe you can. I'm not aware of. But yeah, who cares if they can't be auto-paid? With what? Yeah. And you have to reiterate 30 years to make it seem bigger than it actually is. But yeah, I don't even know how you set up auto-pay in jail. But I'm glad you don't have it. He assumed his plan would work in not having to pay, so he withheld, causing this to happen. I have no bank account, Your Honor, and for all the difficulties supposedly encountering with his debit credit card could have been avoided, would he have been paying and abiding by the rules. And all of this could have been avoided if you were paying and abiding by the rules of, I don't know, not killing people. You know, so when we balance the scales of he's not paying his murdering ex alimony versus his murdering ex saying that she is facing injustice, all of this could have been avoided if you let him out of the suitcase. But you didn't, and you never anticipated all of the outcomes and all of the blowback and the backfiring and all of the consequences that would come with that. And this was part of it. You say former husband assumed his plan would work. I'm glad you didn't go assumed like you did in past letters. 12. Have former husband Brian C. Boone explain why he's not my attorney, since he thinks and assumes he knows all there is regarding my case, more than me. He thinks and assumes he knows all there is regarding being incarcerated, more than me. He thinks and assumes he knows how it all works. But his plan is working. He's not paying. You have been convicted. Guilty of murder in the second degree. You will be sentenced on Monday. Odds are it will be reduced or completely eliminated afterwards. So his plan is currently working. Your plan did not work. Your plan to clean up the crime scene, lie and lie and lie, avoid everyone, lie some more, blame him for his own death, blame him for you not letting him out. You assumed that plan would work. You assumed your plan on that stand would work when you made him the abuser again, the perpetrator again. You actually thought those videos on your phone that you complained about and begged for years and years and years would help you when that was the nail in the coffin. It truly was. Mr. J could have followed up with more information about each video in between. He didn't need to. The videos themselves were damaging enough. Similar to what Chelsea said during the interrogation of, the video speaks for itself. And no one who sees that is going to think that there is no malice behind that.
I'm leaving it like this, please. I'm leaving it like this. I did not intentionally do this. No malicious content or effort was towards this. No malicious.
I would say this does help you sleep, but you're not sleeping, so.
I mean,
last night, I maybe got an hour.
Right.
In your voice, you can hear the maliciousness. The you is very, very...
You don't talk to people like that. That's not like a common, like,
Nope.
hey, Scott, you. That's not common. It's not something people do. And no one that sees that is going to think that.
Okay.
So we were trying to give you an opportunity, and it is what it is.
There's no maliciousness towards that.
So I would probably be telling myself that too after that video.
My intent was not for that to happen.
But your plan was to get on there and say, he put his little fingers out. So I had to beat him with my child's bat and shake the suitcase saying, stop doing this to me. Man locked inside of a suitcase trying his hardest to breathe. Stop doing this to me. Just like she's doing with everything else. Brian, stop doing this to me. Son, stop doing this to me. Everyone is doing stuff to her while she does nothing in her eyes. And it's that kind of mindset that allowed her to genuinely believe she was going to get away with murder. And that's why I always say karma is an unexplainable force that is also inarguable. There's every single person, every single human who is listening to this, and the ones who are not, have either witnessed or experienced themselves karma to the extent of you've seen someone put in a position to where that other person who put them in that position were put in the very same position afterwards. I know I have faced that. I'm pretty sure you have faced that, where you have said something or been on the recipient side. Someone has said something to you and you've seen it reflect right back on them or right back on you. And so when you do that, and when you act the way you act, you cannot be upset when it comes back to you in return. We're going on another side tangent. That's how I feel about all this cheating nonsense, because that was such a big thing for her. She goes on this diatribe about cheating. And when I get to the text messages, that'll be its own conversation. But what blows my mind always are relationships that got together based off of cheating, which, I mean, there's a ton of them, right? And it's not always malicious, right? Sometimes people are just, oh, we fell out in love. I had no idea I'd make this connection. It just felt right. And then it happened. Okay, however you want to justify it, that's fine. And there are some good and healthy relationships that have come from that. Morally, maybe not so much, but maybe within the relationship itself. However, when those type of relationships get mad later down the line that the other partner is cheating on them, I said no. You have no right to be upset if you are a relationship or a couple that got together based off of cheating, infidelity, any moral tensions or questions. And then when that partner or you yourself cheat and the relationship implodes, you have no right to feel upset about that. Y'all were cheaters when you got together. How would you think that you are the exception to y'all's cheating behaviors? Your former partners thought that they were the exception. And I'm not saying it always happens, because it doesn't always happen. But when it does, y'all need to just sit down and say, oops, I guess we were expecting this. So we can either work through this, get over it, become an open relationship, or just end it. And then during the next relationship, realize, oh, I shouldn't take that for granted because I know how it feels to put someone through the situation that I put them through. And so I will treat people in the future better. And it always be the ones like this. She was cheating on him while she was still married to Brian, and both of George's ex-wives have admitted that he was a cheater, a womanizer, had a wandering eye. Okay, I'll give him that. Like, that is something that is very provable, but that being equated to the abuser she is trying to paint does not match up. His past behaviors do match up with that assessment. And she blew up when she found he was talking to other women, which also, there's a whole thing of how she found out going through his phone. Also, let's take a little side tangent there. If you go through your partner's phone, you deserve to get hurt. I'm sorry. It's just a fact. If you go to your partner's phone without their permission, and then you get hurt at what you've seen, okay, what did you expect? Because you were going to find something to be upset about. Oh, he messages his mom too much. Let me check to make sure mom isn't just a fake name that he's messaging some other girl. Or she's been up on TikTok all night. Let me check her TikTok DMs. And oh no, what's happening? If you want to go through your partner's phone so bad, ask them. If they say no, respect that. And if you can't handle that, then you can't handle being in that relationship, because both partners deserve their own privacy of some kind. You know, you can ask for certain things. I don't know. Have you been messaging X person? Well, then let me see. Have you messaged X person? Maybe that's more reasonable. But to ask to go through their phone like blanket, it's just so toxic to me. It's so toxic. Don't do this if you're out there. If you go through your partner's phone, I will repeat again, you deserve to get hurt by the answer. And that's what she did. And it just made her grow more and more angry. And that's why in the literal video of her taunting her boyfriend, him saying, I cannot breathe, and she saying, that's what I feel like when you cheat on me. What about Brian? What about your past partners? How did they feel during that? And I'm not saying this for George or anything. I'm saying this for her. If she believes that she is entitled to exert that kind of force, that kind of torture and torment on someone because they were cheating on her, what does she believe she deserves for cheating on someone else? As with most things, I've gone into a level of side tangentry that was not intended at the start. So, moving on.
My bank account would be open still. He could have used my debit credit card, and I would already have the necessities I'm needing. Former husband is his own troublemaker.
Before we get into this next part, because I have words and thoughts to say about this next part, my debit card, credit card, how does he have your debit card, credit card? Did you make him take all of your things and just hold on to it, and he's just supposed to keep it nice and orderly and know exactly where everything is? Is he responsible for keeping those cards open as well? This is just too much. It is your debit and credit card. You lost the privilege to have that. He is not your accountant. It is not his job to figure out everything for you, his murdering ex. And again, it's the necessities I'm needing. No, it is not. These are things that you want. You want the measly coffee package. You want deodorant that quote unquote works. Now, it's one thing if you need feminine hygiene products that you literally can't access any other way. I don't know how that works in jail. I'm imagining that they have those available. Even if it's to a limited degree, I don't think it's probably the best options out there, but you have it in some form. If that is what you are asking for, that is a need. What you are demanding for are wants. Your needs are taken care of, which is why alimony will be taken away from you. And this next part, former husband is his own troublemaker. Honestly, I'm gonna have to walk away and take a break before I cover this next part, because this is just the most gaslighty, victim blaming mess I have seen in a long, long time. Husband is his own troublemaker. Is she not her own troublemaker? Like, let me know down below. Is there something that she has had to face that she did not cause on her own, besides the death of her relatives? That is something that's completely out of her control, I think. No, I'm not even going to put that out there. It is out of her control, and she has no responsibility for that. Cool. She's had to deal with the weight of that and any complications that might bring mentally, physically, emotionally, what have you. Everything else can be traced to her. Her own alcohol abuse issues, her own cheating, her own lack of empathy, lack of remorse, stealing, physical violence. No one forced any of that. It all traces back to you. And then the few little injuries we see, They are always questionable too, because normally battered spouses, when they have injuries like that, their partner, an abuser, does not have the same injuries or similar equivalents. And she says, well, I was fighting for my life. I did this, I did that. She never mentions that at first. Only once they see him marked up, that's when she's like, well, I was fighting for my life.
Why am I in trouble?
Spread your feet. Spread your feet apart.
Why am I in trouble though?
Because of the marks he has all on his neck and the inconsistencies
That's
of
me
the story.
fighting back. Why? Because I fucking fought back?
No, because everybody that goes in my car gets checked, no matter who you are.
No. I mean, like, seriously, like, I literally just started my job a week ago. What I did.
Okay.
And then I walked off barefoot.
Okay. And on the phone, you told me that you attacked him as well.
I didn't attack him.
You said you exchanged, you had a physical altercation on the phone. That's what you told me.
I pulled him off of me.
He said he has marks because I was fighting for my life.
I was being honest with you.
Okay.
So are you being honest now? What? But you weren't going to say that. Because you needed to be the helpless victim that did nothing and that he just attacked you constantly. And honestly, I wonder what would have happened if he called the police on her even one time. I mean, just like he did in the video where she was coaching him to get the case dropped, he probably would have said anything possible to get them to leave and to not arrest her, because he knew if she came back out, it would have been 10 times worse. He would have gotten arrested for blinking incorrectly towards her. So it's just easier to go to jail and then get out, hopefully, and then whatever. I don't know. He could not escape her, even if he tried to. When someone holds your birth certificate over you, I'll never get over that. Personally, I've never heard of something like that. I've never heard someone cruel enough to hold birth certificate, social security numbers, cards, and things that you need to literally move throughout the world in terms of actually getting checks cashed, things that you need to get jobs, information that you have to put down, health insurance, all of these things that are so little and innocuous to most people, but controls so much, just like the phone. The fact that she had them sharing the phone seems so innocuous at first, and then you're like, oh wait, that means she controls every aspect of him. He can't contact his family without going to her. So if she's not happy with him, he can't be in contact with his own safe support system. She forces him to see her as his sole support system. And she wants to keep tight reins on everyone and control on everyone in similar manners. So it's not shocking whatsoever she would complain about him moving. You don't get to move unless she says so. That's her philosophy about everyone. I kick George out. The times he tries to leave me, I'm going to call him back over. I'm going to force him to come back over because I have all his stuff. And then when his mom gave him a phone, and I guess that's the phone that he was cheating on her with, she used that to go against him, being like, I knew once your mom gave you that phone, you would go back to your old terrible ways. That means you did not want him to have any control whatsoever on his life and livelihood. And this video has turned into a lot about George and not as much about Brian, but it's because the behaviors track across. The language, the way she says it's harming her, the impact, all of it is she's equating them basically. By her word choice, they are both doing the exact same things to her, ruining her life. Meanwhile, she won't leave them alone.
He makes his life more difficult from all of his assumptions and defiant attitude. Even if I wasn't incarcerated, I'd be getting the same problems from him. He keeps tripping over his power trips and taking out on me. Where are my orders? How can I get my bank account reopened? He gets no relief from his own doing. Everything was okay before he tried implementing all his agreements and started a second job soothsaying.
See, now I'm glad I took a break. I also took a train ride back home. Linda sends her well wishes and wishes you happy holidays. But this is absolutely absurd. She is saying you are the reason that I'm abusing you. It's your fault. I've said this multiple times. She is such a comically textbook abuser that it is almost laughable. I mean, it is laughable. She checks every single box. And here is the other box of blaming the victim for you victimizing them. You make me hit you. If you just did what I say, I wouldn't have to hit you. You love riling me up. You are making your own life difficult. If you just fell in line and did everything I said, nothing would be wrong. Everything was okay before he tried implementing all his agreements, i.e. boundaries, and started a second job soothsaying. No, he started a second job of being a single father. He already was pretty much a single father beforehand, but now he really has to take on the responsibility full time. But I bet it was okay for you. It was never okay for him. I remember, I think in the witness interviews or something, I'm not going to pull it back at this point. I just need this video to end. But he talked about how he was in the process of having the custody agreement amended and changed because it just wasn't working. She already wasn't taking him the 5 days that she needed to take him. He's already been doing all this extra work, so might as well make it official. He has been looking for relief from you way before you went to jail. And that's why you said, like, even if I wasn't incarcerated, I'd be getting the same problems from him. Yeah, because you're a deadbeat parent who only wants more and more and more. And that's the sign of a deadbeat parent. There's no sacrificing for your child whatsoever. You could not put him first even if he paid you to think about him more. And by think about him more, I mean not using him as a pawn, actually putting his best interest ahead of yours. That's what good parents do. Now, they don't do that for everything, and there are limits, and you should protect yourself, and you don't have to give, and give. But unfortunately, the good parents don't know when to stop giving. Even if they don't have anything monetarily or anything to give, they will give them time. They will give them love, support, anything they can, even if they don't have it for themselves in that moment. She has done none of that. At all. Ever, to use her own phrasings. He keeps tripping over his power trips and taking it out on me. Girl, if you left them alone, they wouldn't take anything out on you.
It's her day to pick up the kid, but
Okay.
it doesn't always happen. 1 or 2 days a week, maybe she gets them.
Out of the 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
And what do you, like every other day you're supposed to?
Well, we're supposed to. She's Monday, Tuesday, I'm Wednesday, Thursday, and then we alternate Friday through Sunday is how it's supposed to. I was actually, my lawyer back a couple weeks ago, because I was looking to get it changed because she can never stick to it. There's always some reason why. So it's general that I start calling her around then to find out if she's actually going to get him, even though yesterday she told me she would. So I started calling her about 10:30. Never got any answer.
There is no power trip. The only difference is you are in jail and lost all power you had. Because you love to pull all the power you can. And we know because of these letters, you pulled the mother card constantly. Well, I'm his mother. I'm his mother. You need to do this. I'm his mother. That's like the go-to answer for anything. That's her trump card, because if you push back too much on how I'm treating our son, I'm his mother at the end of the day, so you have to be nice to me because you're teaching him a bad example. Where are my orders? And that's what, she loves to hide it in there. So she is saying, I'm being abused. He is making his own life worse because of this, because of that. Where are my orders? How can I get my bank account reopened? He gets no relief from his own doing, even though those 2 sentences are the thesis of this whole letter. Where are my orders? How do I get my bank account reopened? Alimony, don't move. That's it. We're pages into this at this point. Could have been summed up in 4 bullet points. The constant assaultive, degrading remarks, fear, infliction, and terrorizing threats must stop. The irony there is tragic. So, like, she is calling him not wanting to pay her all of these things: constant assaultive, degrading remarks, fear, infliction, and terrorizing threats. Go ahead and skip ahead maybe a minute, because we're going to re-roll the isolated voice, not all of it, but just some of it, to say who really was degrading, who was assaultive, who inflicted fear, who was terrorizing whom.
For everything you've done to me.
for everything you've done to me. Fuck you. Fuck you. Stupid. That's my name. Don't wear it out. Yeah, that's when you do when you choke me. That's on you. It's on you. Real or ransom. I want to give it for it extra. Oh. That's what you on me. You should probably shut the fuck up.
Okay, so the police sirens were paid actors because that just lined up. Just hearing that means they were coming for you because of how criminal and evil you sounded in there. That is what assault sounds like. That is what degrading remarks sounds like. That is what someone who wants to inflict fear on someone, that is someone who is terrorizing them with a threat sounds like. Not you feeling insulted over not getting free money. So to quote yourself, maybe you should shut the fuck up.
It makes no difference how soft my approach is in trying to explain to former husband how unnecessary and harmful his actions and comments are, and being the example he is to our son. Giving permission he can do the same, especially to me, his mother, and also to other women futuristically.
We go through this every letter. And I know you can't hear this or respond to this, but futuristically is not a damn word. I mean, it is, just not in the way you're using it. Futuristically means future-like, something innovative, something that seems like it could come from the future, not something literally in the future. And you're about to say it, but just stop. This is ludicrous.
Ludicrous going in on the verse, 'cause I never been defeated and I won't stop now.
I can't get over how angry it makes me when she says that he's setting a bad example for all women. No, just because people treat you bad does not mean that they treat women bad. It means you are a bad human being that no one wants to be nice to because you have almost no redeeming qualities. I keep looking for them. Someone down below, type out Miss Paulsen's redeeming qualities. She's tenacious. She's bold. She's got nerve. She has the audacity. That's what I see. Are those really endearing or redeemable? Who knows? But they are qualities. And it makes no difference underline how soft my approach is. This is the same thing as before with the I say calmly and rationally. These are just nebulous terms that are so subjective that only you get to define, but you don't define them. You don't say, I approached him calmly and asked, or how you asked it. You don't say, how soft my approach is. You don't say, I didn't yell, I didn't raise my voice, I tried to be whatever. And even if you are soft, you know you're still condescending as fuck. So it's not actually soft, it's just, well, maybe you should tell our son to treat me better. And maybe you shouldn't be such a fucking shithead. Give me my money, my orders. That's her version of soft. How unnecessary and harmful his actions and comments are. You're not giving what these comments are. You've given some here and there, but you always just like to throw out these big nebulous concepts. I can't stand when people want to tattle on someone else and then don't actually tattle on them. If you're going to be a snitch, be a snitch. What did he say? How was he unnecessarily harmful with his actions and comments? And being an example for your son, giving him permission, he can do the same. You're mad that he's not correcting your son every time he talks back to you because you come out of left pocket. That's another thing parents need to understand. If you come out of left field at your child and then they respond something back, you can't be upset about that. I mean, you can, and you probably are, and you probably will find some kind of discipline, but you need to also look internally. Because you need to teach your child to respect themselves, to have enough self-worth to know what, when, how they should be talked to and treated. And it's one thing if you're in a disciplinary setting, because, that's different. But if you are just casually degrading, nitpicking, being confrontational just because you hear something you didn't like, or they weren't being as nice to you as they once were before you killed someone who was important in their life, you are going to have to get over it. Again, I always say, what example are you setting for your son? How he can treat others futuristically, women included. He is going to take in the model behavior of a woman from the first woman introduced in his life, i.e. his mother. You will be more impactful in how he treats women than his father will be. It's just the truth. Father can correct actions, are really good at like pulling things in, but in terms of how children see women, how children see men, it's normally reflective of the parents or guardians involved in their lives first. And then the world expands that possibility once you are interacting with other people and you see new experiences, all of that good stuff. Especially to meet his mother. It wouldn't be good if he were mistreating any woman, but you love to put the especially me, because that mother title elevates you, right? It's supposed to be a moral high ground. You're supposed to look at you softer, more endearing, more genuine. You don't care about him being the father. You don't ever use that as a moral platitude equaling your social positionings in your son's life. It's no, I'm the mom, I'm the mom, I'm the mom. Former husband is poisoning him against me, his mom. I'll tell you what, abusive mothers are something else. It is a special kind of torture within the mind of a child, because that's the person you're supposed to be able to rely on no matter what. That's the person who you know is supposed to love you unconditionally, the person you spent the most time with in womb, out of womb, most of the time. So to have that figure turn into an abusive POS, like, it's hard. It is hard for kids. I'm sure he is different around you and when no one else is around, because that's also just kids. They're different around everyone always. They are always evolving, developing, different moods, changing, adapting to the new circumstances that they find themselves in. And when he has his dad around, maybe he feels more confident saying what he wants to say to you. For you, you think it's he's being changed around his dad, but when he's alone with you, he might be terrified to speak how he wants to speak. But with his dad in the room, he feels emboldened to say, know what? No, I don't want to accept this. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to deal with this. But when he is forced to just talk with you, yeah, Mom, everything's going great. Thanks. No, I don't know what Dad's trying to do. I can go check the mail again. If you want me to read it, I'll be helpful. That's fine. And then when he blows up on you, and it's just the contradiction. At the beginning of this letter, you said Brian walked in on this phone conversation when your son was yelling at you to tell him not to be mean to you. And you completely throw that out the window. You act like that never happened. He's poisoning. He's allowing him to treat me like this, even though I started this whole thing telling you he stopped him from treating me like this. Just stop, please. Former husband tries to taunt me every opportunity he can to get a reaction from me, knowing he's got the upper hand in almost everything and can either laugh at me or hang up, or both. As said before, I am not helpless. I have God and your awareness of my situations, Judge Dean, to hopefully impose your authority in all manner available to provide any permissible relief for everyone. And there you are, reversing it again. He uses every opportunity to get a reaction from you, even though all of these letters are literally meant to get reactions from people. You are the one who takes every opportunity possible to get a reaction from people. Positive, negative, indifferent. You want to be heard, acknowledged, and responded to. And you're not, and you can't control that, and you're losing your mind because of it. Him trying to set reasonable boundaries and trying to get you off the phone and trying to get some space is him trying to get a reaction from you. That would imply he wants to witness your reaction. He doesn't. He doesn't want anything to do with you unless he has to interact with you because of your child. And yeah, he does have the upper hand in almost everything and can either laugh at you and hang up, or both. I hope it's both. I hope he laughs and hangs up on you any chance he gets. He deserves it. How many times did you hit him while you were married? How many times did you claw and scratch at him and punch him while you were married? And you still expect him to be endlessly compassionate, endlessly nice to you?
What can you tell me about her?
I don't, she's generally not, she can get a bit violent when she drinks. That was part of it.
And you said when she drinks that she can get physically aggressive?
She can. I mean, she did it to me a lot, where she'd hit me and stuff like that. I mean, she's tiny.
What do you mean hit, though?
She punched me, I mean, more arms. She many times would use her claws. I mean, I had scratches on my neck at times, on my arms.
I am not helpless. Apparently you are, because you can't seem to figure out anything for yourself. You need everyone to do everything for you. And you have God and your awareness. I can't stand when people bring in a higher power. That's when you know they've completely lost the argument. When you are tapping into the highest source. This is the same woman who swore on her son's life, right? That she was telling the truth, and then just a few weeks ago said that it was all a lie. So you pulling in your son, you pulling in God means nothing to you. You swore to God during that one too. You said, I'll put my hand on the Bible, right hand to God. I didn't do this, I didn't do that. A few years later, well, I did do this and I did do that. And I actually did more than what I just avoided beforehand. And let me tell you all the ways in which I tortured that man to death. And I get so riled up and upset over this because I know someone like this. I do. And many people probably know someone similar, not actual murderers, but people who treat others this way. Always the victim, pulling out every trump card, hitting below the belt, saying absolutely anything possible to get their way. And are shocked when it doesn't work. And then when their own words are used against them. As though all of these letters will not be used against her. Of course they will. Maybe not every single letter, but the fact that she has written letters will definitely come into play into sentencing. I have no doubt about that. I don't know if anyone's going to read the letters or anything. I think he will mention that he has read multiple letters. I don't know if he'll pull out any quotes or anything like that. If he's as petty as I think he is, he might pull out some quotes and say, remember when you said this right here and there? Keep the same energy. Life in prison.
Electric chair.
And there she go with that lav abuse again, just blatantly stating it. And since we haven't talked about it in a while, it means legal administrative aggression or violence, or people, abusers, who manipulate legal systems, authoritative administrative systems in order to perpetuate violence, aggression, or abuse onto their victim. She is the textbook definition of that. Calling the police 16 times in the past year before she murdered her victim? Wild. The amount of letters that she has written to the judge, 16 plus, she likes the number 16 a lot, trying to get other people in trouble? Crazy. And it's because it's worked for her in the past. She knows if I just complain to the right person, if I Karen Sarah my way through the legal system, someone will have to listen to me and do what I say. And before she had a body count, maybe that would have worked again, but it won't. Because you are a convicted felon, meaning the legal system, these administrative systems are working against you. They are working to lock you up and take away as many rights from you as possible because you are such a terrible human being. So you saying, Judge Dean, impose your authority in all manner available, not in any way. You do say provide any permissible relief for everyone. You don't mean everyone, you mean just for you. And you think that relief will go to everyone because you will stop complaining. Thus, the relief will go to everyone. But you need him to provide permissible relief to you. And you want him to use all authority in all manner available. Again, it's so broad, you need to tell the judge what you want him to do. This is not, let me air my grievances to you and then you figure out what to do. It is, I want X action taken, please. And like a genuine gratitude, not just, she loves to just throw the word please in every sentence as though that offsets the rude and atrocious nature of it. It doesn't.
And would you ever speak with George by himself? Like, did he ever confide in you about their relationship?
The one time where, like I was just saying, that when I talked to her, she asked me to go talk to him. But she's like, please go put the fear of God in him. Fear of God in him.
Please go put the fear of God in him. Does that sound familiar?
Please put the fear of the police in.
But yeah, she loves using anyone to strike fear in others in order to make them do something she wants. She controls by fear, aggression, power, and straight up assault.
Something needs to be done sooner than later, considering my trial has an unknown date. I refuse to continue cooperating with former husband and any of his terms and the way they are being handled. Look at the bigger picture.
Oh, we are. You are the only one not looking at the bigger picture. The reason all of this is on hold because they want to see the bigger picture. They want to see, will you be in jail for the rest of your life, or will you get out in maybe 22 and a half years? In maybe 22 and a half years. They want to see the bigger picture to look at and see what they can do with this. You want them to rush, saying we need to do something sooner than later because my trial is unknown. He done told you before, or actually no, he'll tell you in the future, that you can push this forward and we can make a decision on it right now, but he has to consider you being locked up in jail when making the decision, and then you back down. So really look at the bigger picture. The picture right now is you in a jail cell. Until you are out of that jail cell, there is no bigger picture. And you refuse to continue cooperating. You've never cooperated. The only time you cooperated is when he's actually giving you money. And now you've been defiant and obstinate at every single step of the way. And now you're saying, officially, I refuse to continue cooperating. You would have to begin cooperating to continue cooperating. But whatever, this doesn't shock anyone. Everyone expects you to be combative as you always have been and continue to be. Because you don't want to accept any of his terms or the way they're being handled. You don't have any terms, right? You have no power anymore. No leveraging power. Back when you had custody, you had a little power. Back when you were outside, you had a little power. Back when you manipulated your label as a mother, you had a little power. All of that is gone. So you need to look at the bigger picture, which is the pink cuffs are around your wrists and not his. So he gets to make the big decisions.
In conclusion, the most painful, horrific remark made to me by former husband so far during my attempted call to talk about our son's upcoming birthday, 10/28, with the conversation always turning into the told me, when you're finally put away, this move will be the best thing to happen to us. Him, son, we can't wait to get out of Orlando and away from you. Laughing. Also, where we're moving is very close to the prison. It's going to be very easy and convenient for us.
I think she thinks we're supposed to feel bad at that or shocked at that. How could he tell you the facts of the situation once you're found guilty?
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of murder in the second degree.
Our lives in this move will be so much better, and I didn't even know, but they're going to move right near the prison. So they do have even closer access. This is something to help you. You don't like it because it's insinuating that you are going to lose this case.
Find the defendant guilty of murder in the second degree.
And that you are going to go to prison.
The lowest permissible sentence that the court could levy in this case would be 22.5 years in the Department of Corrections. Do you understand that? Ma'am, understanding the state's offer, do you wish to accept or reject the state's offer to resolve this case?
Reject.
Both of these things are correct. So it's hurtful because it's the truth.
Thank you for your time and assistance. Most of all, your understanding. I waited as long as I could in everything to involve you. But I don't know what to do or how much more abuse I could endure. I felt you should be included on what's happening behind the scenes when former husband and his attorney aren't sitting in front of you in the courtroom, or you're reading one of their many scheming documents, plotting what he can do to me next. You and God. Thank you either way and always. Sincerely, Sarah Boone, Sarah Boone.
I waited as long as I could, meaning a few days after my birthday. I mean, this means she was probably drafting it on her birthday. Give yourself a break. You know, just enjoy your time in jail a little bit. Make some friends. Look at all the facilities. I don't know, count the bunks in your area. I felt you should know. Not you felt it. You wanted him to know in order for him to impose authority or do whatever. And now you're trying to cower away from it of like, I really didn't want to do this. This is the last thing I wanted to do. And she did this in all the body cams as well of, I don't want him to get in trouble, but it's just messed up. And for that one, I'm not going to pull it because we are so close. We're almost out of here. But yeah, this is just another unhinged letter. I have no idea why this video is as long as it is. I did not think it would be, but she just packed so much into this letter, and so much problematic behavior, and so much just no. It's a whole lot of no for me. So no, I don't feel bad about her not getting alimony. No, I don't feel bad for her son yelling at her. No, I don't feel bad for Brian ignoring her. No, I don't feel bad that she feels bad. I don't. Like, she brought this all on herself, and instead of taking any responsibility, she still calls everything abuse and everyone abusers. Meanwhile, she walks through this life a victim. And she doesn't even see the privilege she has of walking through life still. Every day, her lungs expand and contract, something she didn't allow George to do. Yet we are supposed to have endless sympathy and compassion for her, all because she didn't get a hygiene kit and some deodorant that works, or a measly pack of coffee, or a hot meal. That's literally what she's talking about. At the end of the day, she wrote all of these big words, this big language, over not getting some damn orders and not getting some money. But I think that is indicative and just telling of Miss Paulsen as a whole. And now that we are all in agreement, her included, that she is not part of the Boone family, she doesn't need to carry that name. She doesn't need to shit on that name anymore. And even if no one else calls her that, that's fine. I just hope that me bringing it up brings some little schism to the point where people acknowledge, okay, even if I'm still going to call her that, she is not biologically related to that family, nor does she consider herself a part of that family. But she's going to keep that name. She's going to run it into the dirt as long as she possibly can. But yeah, I think that is going to be it for this video. I've missed you all a lot, so thank you for listening if you got this far. We have sentencing on Monday. It's almost finally over. I mean, it's not over for me because I have a lot of loose ends that I need to tie up, but it's almost over. We almost have the cherry on top of all of this. Judge Cranick, Honorable Judge Cranick, please just land this plane the way we know you need it to land, and then we can mark this off of our books, open to the next chapter of horrible person, and then just move on and leave her to rot in obscurity. I don't know. And maybe she won't rot. Maybe she will evolve past who she is currently. And maybe she'll become a productive member of society from behind bars. Doubtful. Highly doubt it. But, you know, keeping a little hope out there. So, thank you for watching. If you'd like to reach out to me, I never really plug it, but yeah, I do have an email, shortkingreacts@gmail.com. Feel free to reach out if you'd like. I'll try to respond when I can. But I do love reading the emails. They're really nice. Even if I'm not able to respond at that moment. I will get there eventually, can guarantee that. But yeah, if you like this video, remember to like, comment, subscribe, dislike if you're feeling it. Until next time.